Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello, Spaced Out Radio people. Dave Scott here, and it is Varla Ventura night. Here we're getting into monsters, werewolves, paranormal, supernatural things all night long. How are y'all doing? Old Davey's having a great day. Check this out. Right there. Look what I got in the mail today from the Michael Leger. Not only did he carve that gnome, he sent me this Sasquatch face carved out of wood today. I'm blown away. Blown the hell away. And I'll show it up a little closer momentarily. But first, we got to get down to business here. Who do we have in the gold medal position? We have Kathy Evans in the gold medal position. Race fan taking home the silver with Awesome Ann B with a bronze medal tonight. Strong showing by the ladies. Logan L., how you doing? Markham, what's going on, buddy? Andrew, the trucking gnome, how are you, bud? Brown Dwarf, Les Paul Holland in Australia, good to see you. Hi, Penny Van, thanks for coming on in. Robert Lamoth and Dennis Zuniga are here. Dennis Zuniga, a great veteran. Thank you for your service, my friend. Dennis will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. We got D. Cohen and Sandy B. Thanks for joining us. Roy Boy, Paramarv, good to have you here. Jessica, good to see you. And who else do we have? Hadley, thanks for coming on in. Bobby Chizzy, what's going on? Bobby will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind. To the right of the studio. Toe Tag, good to have you here. And there's Forrest Louie. How you doing, buddy? Search and Destroy. Oh, after skipping out last night's intro, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show and last night's show. Deb from SAC, good to see you. Hi, Nikki in Seattle. Bigfoot Rob, thanks for coming on in. And get that sequin head bandana if you don't mind, Rob. Appreciate it. Let's move on here as we continue on with roll call. Sea Warrior Son, how you doing? Thanks for coming on in. Ed Clater, W. David Page, Crystal J, thank you for joining us. And who else? We got Third Rock here. My man, Millennium. Good to see you. Hi, Grandizer. Mark Sanchez. Yep. What Hawaiian shirt does Mark have on tonight? We'll never know. Richard Elmore, thanks for joining us. And who else do we have here? Simon, the Dogface Australian. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. As we continue on with our roll call. Forrest Louie, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Hi, Jay Burke. Good to have you here. And there's the lovely Kira. Thank you for joining us. I booked my hotel room tonight, Kira. I booked my hotel room tonight. Z-Hut or Z-Hut if you're in Canada. Obi Flett, Ozzy, oi, oi. The Michael Leger, who made me this great Sasquatch mask. Oh, I love it. I love it. I just wish I could wear it. Let's see here. Penman, one of those for you. Let's get the radio side started. So that way we can let in Bill WD-40 to lube us up for tonight's show. And Jorgen Johansson, he's wearing Kent Nielsen's old number 15. Yeah, he is from Pattaya, Sweden. Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know if there's a place, but I just made it up. Rayfin, nice to have you here. Miss Anonymous, thank you for coming on in. Hey, D. Cohen, thank you so much for that super chat, my man. Really do appreciate you, my friend. And thank you so, so much. Where are we here? Pixie Lara, hope you're feeling better. Robo, good to have you here. TMI. And Tim Mothman, DAY song, welcome to the show. And where are we here? Let's scroll on down. Oh, my jump. Nancy Thames, welcome to SOR chat. The wild Amy WC, nice to see you. Hi, Marlena. Thanks for coming on in. And who else do we have here? Night Gazer, it's been a while. Thanks for coming on in. And I think we are Felipe, Mr. Cowley. Welcome back to the show. Oh, Mr. Cowley loves his spaced out radio. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. A power show of woo tonight. One of our favorites, Varla Ventura, who will be attending our Vegas fan party in May at the Golden Nugget, May 19th through 21st. She is here for our Cryptid World for her monthly feature here. We're glad to have Varla back. Then, in hour number 3, we're going to head to the swamp. And then a special occasion. My good friend, Robin McCrae, will be filling in for Super Duke on the Cryptid Report. I love Robin. It's her first appearance of 2023, and I'm just so pumped up for that. All right, let's get right to it. Accomplished author and researcher Varla Ventura comes in once a month for our Cryptid World. Now, Varla isn't a stranger to most of our regular listeners, but if you're new, well, we call her the Queen of the Cryptids for a reason. Yes, she is up to date when it comes to all things dark and ghoulish. Ghoulish, a word we do not use enough on this show, but here we are. And you know what? It says something about her persona when she allows her son to be a hockey goaltender. Yeah, I never understood those type of parents, but apparently Varla allows her son to get hit by 60, 70 mile an hour freezing pucks. Who does that to their child? I don't know. I've been around hockey my entire life, and I would never appreciate my son doing that. But you know what? The main thing is the boy is having fun. And yeah, Varla's books can be found in any major bookstore. Her website, varlaventura.net. I love it when she comes on in. Varla, it is so good to have you back in 2023. Welcome back to SOR.
Yeah, first appearance of the new year. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. It is always a pleasure to have you here. How was your new year going into 2023?
It was great. It was great. I had a awesome, just very intimate evening with just a few people and a few kids over here, and way too much to drink. Perfect, really. Nothing to do the next day.
How much are you looking forward to attending our Las Vegas event, where you are going to get to meet all of our listeners?
Yeah, I am gonna book my room. I highly recommend people book their rooms soon because rates are only going up. I'm very excited. There's so many names, and it'll be strange and surreal to put names to faces of people who show up, but also to actually, I mean, I feel like Dave and I are old friends and have spent years together, but we have actually never met in
I
real
know.
life, which is so weird. But so that's what it's all about, right? Actually connecting with people that you otherwise only see virtually.
I know it's going to be a lot of fun. I got to show you this.
Oh,
So
is
for
it a
our,
tattoo?
no, Varla and I are getting matching tattoos in Las Vegas. That
Yeah.
we are.
Yeah.
I actually opened up the mail today and I had a beautiful package sent to me by one of our listeners, Michael Leger, the Michael Leger.
Oh, the Michael
And
Leger.
and it came in this giant box and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what the heck? He's a wood carver.
Oh.
Okay. And Michael, about a year ago, out of nowhere, carved me a spaced out radio gnome. And it has SOR on it. The gnome looks like me with a big white Santa Claus beard, and it's holding a microphone. So he said, Dave, I got something for you. And I was like, he goes, I need your address. I lost it. So I send him my address again. And lo and behold, in my mail today, and it's heavy and it's one piece. He carved me the face of a Sasquatch.
That's amazing.
Like this, I am absolutely blown away by this. Like literally, I actually had, and I'll admit this, I had a few tears in my
I
eyes.
was gonna say, did
Like,
you
who would
cry?
do this for
Because
me?
yeah,
Like,
that's
who?
incredible. Look at the
Like,
fur.
I know, and it is all hand carved, and he put an amazing message on the back. I will read it. He goes, to the captain, all the best in 23. Thank you for all you've done for ufology, Michael Leger. And I mean, this is just, you know, I'm glad I'm hiding
Are you hiding
right
behind
now.
it right now? Because you're
Yes.
getting kind of, yeah.
Yes.
That's a pretty remarkable gift.
What people don't know about me, Varla, is I'm a very emotional person.
I think we know that about
And
you, actually, Dave.
well, you know what? I rarely feel that I deserve good things. It's part of my depression, part of my anxiety that I suffer from. And I'm very open about suffering from depression and anxiety. And I wish more people, especially men, would open up to that because we need more communication in this world. And a lot of times when I open up the mail and I get something from one of our listeners that they've put their heart and soul because they care and they want to show appreciation, it completely melts my heart.
Yeah.
It really does, because I don't think I do anything special. You know, I'm just a guy who knows how to talk on a microphone, and every now and again I throw in some hockey lingo, you know. but this is beyond the scope of wow. And I've got pictures on my social media about it. So if you're listening in radio land or podcast land and you want to see, I got it on my personal Instagram at Dave Scott SOR. I got pictures of it on my Facebook and our Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. But this, Michael, from the bottom of my heart, honestly, thank you so much. I don't know what I did to deserve something so beautiful, but it's absolutely incredible. It's like the detail. I mean, he's even like, if you look up right at the eyes, okay, you can see like he's put like detail in and like wrinkles and lines in there that show some sort of emotion. Like, I'm blown away. I am just blown the heck away by this. And I love it. And wow, just wow.
I'll tell you what you've done to deserve that, if I may. I mean, first of all, you've created an entire community that people feel safe and they feel like they can share their stories that other people laugh at, that they can be in the community of like-minded individuals who stay up late at night and like weird things. And that's not to be don't undersell that, because there are other shows that talk about things like that, but you have, and I've said this from the first time I came on your show, your audience and your the interaction between the people who watch or listen to your show, the comments that they make, people are so engaged, and they're also so very kind, because they have this understanding, and it's a template that you set. It's a vibe that you create, that it's a safe place to be who you really are. And that is a very rare thing. So, in my mind, you deserve a million Sasquatch carvings and other wonderful things. But I think everyone agrees with me there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome, and it's not like other shows, so it really isn't. I've listened, as you know, I've been doing this for years. I've been on a lot of shows, big coast to coast ones and teeny little ones, and I've never felt any connection with the people listening than I have, and you've just got so many regulars, that they tune in every night just to hear what you have to say, and to hear what the discourse in the chat and things like that. And in a very, I wouldn't say it's always positive. I think there's some real comments in there that may or may not, people are being honest, but it's very respectful. And that is, and I'll tell you what, as a woman appearing on shows like this, especially where there's a video component, it's actually always really refreshing to know that the chat is moderated. And I shouldn't say only women experience that, but I have found that to be a problem throughout my career, just because people are jerks and they think that if it's a woman, they can say whatever they want. So to me, that's really, that's why I keep coming back.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Let's get into some monsters here before I have an emotional meltdown.
Yeah, before you break down. Yeah.
Yeah. Woo. Quite the start. Thanks, Michael Leger. Appreciate it, buddy. I really do. And it's going to sit right there.
Crying Dave open.
Right there. Oh. All right. You have some real special research that you've got into. We're going to get into that at the bottom of the hour, because you wanted to really talk about something weird and strange that you've been studying. But we have, since you were last on, we have a brand new radio station in Vernal, Utah, X94, channel X94. And so we've opened up more listeners to Spaced Out Radio on the terrestrial side. And you know what? They're going to be wondering, who is this Varla Ventura lady? How did you get involved with this? How did you become so in love with the topics of the paranormal, supernatural, and dark side of the cryptids?
Yeah, I was raised with them, I guess. Really, that's the short answer. Some people were raised going to church with their parents. Other people were raised to, take long walks in nature. Some of us had, all of those things. But for me, I was exposed to the dark side of the cryptids, witchery, magic, the tarot, the occult arts, all of those things. Since, honestly, my mom did a horoscope for me when I was born. It's the first entry in my baby book. So because of that kind of very early exposure to what I call the occult arts, I just have always felt really comfortable in the dark of night, in cemeteries, in finding out about monsters and scary things, and, reading terrifying stories far too young, and watching horror movies far too young. Things that I cannot get away with as a parent now. But I think I just kind of always had a I was the kid that always liked the villain. I always it's probably like some kind of like really messed up thing in my own head of like, liking the bad guy or whatever, but I always did find the villain to be particularly appealing. Not necessarily attractive, but just appealing. I wanted to know more about the villain or the bad guy in all the movies, and less about the good guy. So no, probably just a
Yeah,
pirate at heart.
you've got a number of successful books out. And in this field, in this date of self-publishing, you actually have a publisher. You have somebody who actually says, hey, we want to pay you for these books that you're writing there. Yeah, we're going to pay you millions upon millions of
Yes,
dollars.
so much
you
money.
know I mean, that's why you allow your child to play hockey, or at least a goaltender.
Millions. Yeah.
But the idea behind it is, you're one of the very few people out there who truly gets to do what you love. And you love this subject, you're very passionate about this subject, and your writing really carries over with that passion that you have. I mean, could you ever see yourself doing anything different outside of this field?
Well, I can't imagine being anything other than a writer. I actually have been many other things. I sold flowers at a gas station and cleaned rooms and waited tables and tended bar and rang up groceries and done everything that I could before I actually was able to start taking my writing life seriously. And it's always a hustle. You're constantly having to promote yourself, come up with a new idea, try and get somebody to take that idea. And I do a lot of side gigs like editing and helping other people develop their writing, because I love it, and I actually really enjoy that as well. But I mean, I just feel like, I have a very, very good friend. It's his birthday today, actually. I call him Pirate Chris. And I remember when I met him, he was one of the only people I'd ever met in my life that was doing something for a living and being paid. Wasn't being paid, tremendous amounts of money, but he was being paid to do something that he loved. He's an archaeologist. And I thought, here I am, ringing up groceries, and I think I want that. I want to do the thing that I love. And honestly, the only thing I've ever really loved or felt like I've been particularly good at is writing. So I don't want to imagine myself doing anything else. I just want to imagine myself doing more of it and being paid more.
It always comes down to the money.
I mean,
Always comes.
sure, I can do podcasts or whatever, you know what I mean? But even for me, that's a form of writing, because when I record things like that, I write a whole script that goes with it just for my own notes and things like that. So to me, that's all part of the writing process. So yeah, I mean, I'm terrible at sales. So I cannot get a job in sales. Someone would be a fool to hire me.
Well, you know what? We're glad you're here. We're glad you're here. So, for people as they get to know you at our news station in Vernal, Utah, all right, what is Varla's favorite monster?
Well, my favorite monster, and I'm sure that the loyal listeners may know the answer to this, but my favorite monster is the Banshee, and all of the Banshees counterparts around the world. The Banshee is essentially of the fairy kingdom, but also very much like a ghost or a spectral being, and appears in the form of usually a lovely young woman, but sometimes an old hag or an old woman kind of wandering down the lane, and then can transform into this very kind of gaping mouthed, horrific, screaming entity. And the thing about banshees that's just so fascinating to me is that they're actually warning ghosts. So they're warning they're sort of like harbingers of death. They let people know that death or serious illness is imminent, and traditionally belonged to different families. In Ireland, would inherit a banshee. But then there are counterparts around the world. In Scotland, there's a washerwoman who is very similar, but is then spotted washing bloody garments in a stream. In Italy, you have the woman in white who appears in old castles and will appear before somebody in the family dies. And I've heard countless stories. People have written to me and said, I saw this floating disembodied head and I heard this horrible scream. And, was this a banshee? And so there's all kinds of variations around the world, but technically the word banshee means of the fairy mound. And so it's a Irish word. And I just find them fascinating. There's something about it. They're definitely the scariest in my mind because they really, there's nothing you can do about it. So it's basically death, but they don't bring death. They're just letting you know death is on the next carriage through town. And there's just something so incredibly fascinating about the banshee and the many banshee stories. And I think you know this, but I'm going to Ireland again this year, a couple times actually. I have, so far I have two excursions, and the banshee is something that regularly comes up. And interestingly, I don't think it's as commonly talked about in American folklore, and things don't talk so much about the banshee, but the banshee comes up all the time. Just in casual conversation, if you go on, a historic walk or something like that, sometimes people use terms differently as well, but specifically this kind of like warning banshee. And I love the idea that a family, this is my big question, is does a family inherit a banshee, or does the banshee belong to the place? And can the banshee travel, if a family emigrates? And I think that probably by and large, most people would say yes. That is absolutely the banshee can follow you. And so different people throughout different generations will see this banshee that is connected with the family. And other people have that with different ghosts and things. Other families have kind of familial ghosts that are seen.
See, when I think banshee, I think something real eerie, scary, something waking up to, maybe it's because I watched too much Popeye as a kid.
Yeah.
And
well, she's
and
a
the
sea
banshee.
hag, really. Wasn't that really a sea hag?
Well, he had the banshee and the sea hag.
That's right. Yeah, but they are scary. Of course they're scary. They're horrible looking and they're scary. But I mean, that's what I like, What can I say? I like what I like.
Well, you're talking to a guy who won't even stick his pinky toe in the ocean, knowing that Jaws is out there somewhere, just waiting to feed on me. So, a banshee from Popeye, yeah, that scares me. That scares me.
I think, I can't tell if the difference is that I don't get scared easily, or if I like the feeling of being scared. I've never been able to fully figure that out about myself and others that I know that just really enjoy dark, horrific things. There's just something about it.
Well, on that note, we're going to take a quick break here on Spaced Out Radio. VarlaVentura.net is Varla's website. You can find any of her books online or at any major bookstore if your town still has one. Yeah. We love Varla around here. When we come back, Varla's going to, I believe, get into werewolves with us on Spaced Out Radio. Awesome start.
Yeah. Great that there's a new terrestrial radio station tuning in.
Yes. I am way behind in the chat right now. I'm about
okay. Just do your thing.
6 minutes behind. So let me just quickly say hi,
You do
alien
that.
believers.
Yep. Great.
Yeah, I'll get to it. And let's see who else has hopped in here. Stephen Edmond, good to see you, my man. And Kira, thank you so much for that awesome super chat, my beautiful friend. And I did email you about what we talked about earlier. I got it all done. I did tonight. Nikki Kneecaps, welcome to SOR chat. Love the name. And who else is here that's new? Let's see here. Mr. Bigfoot 987. Wow. Welcome to SOR chat. GF. How you doing, Meaty Toes? Good to have you here. Yeah, always a pleasure with Meaty Toes around here. All right, Dutch Hank, good to see you. And who else is here? Australian Cryptozoology Tribe. Oh, I got to look you guys up. You guys look like you're future guests on this show. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio chat room, by the way. And where's Dirty Filth? Hold on, I got to look this up here. Australian Cryptozoology. Australian Cryptozoology Tribe. I'll hit subscribe to your channel. Hey, yeah, we're going to need you guys on as a guest here. We are. We are definitely going to need you guys on as guests because you want to talk Yowie and all that kind of stuff. I want to talk that stuff. So we got to bring it together. I know it's tomorrow for you. By the way, am I alive tomorrow, Australian listeners? Am I alive tomorrow? Is Varla alive tomorrow? Please give us an update. We need to know that we're alive in the future. We would appreciate that. And let's see, who else is in the chat room? Pete Leibel, good to have you here. Thomas O'Keefe, thanks for coming on in. And who else do we have? Yeah. Ozzy Sue, welcome. And Judy's Garlands, welcome to SOR chat. Lots of new listeners in here tonight. I love it. Thank you, guys. Oh, I saw Sensational Sherry. I saw our Mama Susan. I see you too. And my goodness. Deb from SAC, thank you for that awesome super chat. Really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. Jordan Ashley Pettit, welcome back, lady. Candy Wolf, welcome. And who else is here? I'm almost caught up here. Tombstone, good to see you, my man. And Blue Cruise, thank you for that amazing super chat, my man. Really appreciate that. Blue. Let's see here. Do you guys have an email on your... Oh, you do. I am not a robot. I'm confirming I am not a robot. All right, so there is the email. So that way we can get these guys on the air. Where is my bookings email? Bookings. Make sure you check your junk mail for us or from us here, and you'll get a email from one of my members of my team. Bring you guys on to talk about some of that Yowie stuff. Yeah. That'd be kind of cool. Love it. Love it. And let's see. Oh, I haven't even... You know what? I am so behind right now. I haven't even said hello to our Spreaker listeners yet. My goodness.
My goodness. Where does the time go?
There is the gorgeous Eric Markham. There is the stunning Ronnie Lindsay. And the effervescent Bill WD-40, who lubes us up for each show each and every night. Because you know, Varla, you always want to slip and slide into a show smoothly. And that's what Bill WD-40 does for us.
Very true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Hi, Mr. Catfish. How are you? And let's see here. I want to remind you, I will be in San Francisco, March 17th through 19th at UFOCon 2023, put on by Lorian Fenton. Go to UFOCon2023.com, and they have an incredible lineup of guests from Science Bob to Melinda Leslie. And I'm just pulling up the website here. And who else will be there? Let's see. Richard Lewis, Dave Scott, Robert Perala, Misha Johnson, Victoria Whitney, John Ramirez. And here comes the second half hour. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with Varla Ventura and Our Cryptid World. Varla comes in once a month to talk about the darkness of the monsters that go bump in the night. Her website is varlaventura.net. You can find all of her books either on Amazon or at any major bookstore. And we're going to get into some werewolves. Yes, werewolves. Varla, welcome back.
Why, thank you.
You were doing some studying, and you found some really cool werewolf stuff for us.
Yeah. I've been working on a different book that, and I've just been diving back into some of the werewolf archives. And there's a particular writer that I really love. His name is Elliot O'Donnell. So he was an Irish writer. He published most of his works between like 1900 and 1915 or so. And he was a really interesting fellow because a lot of writers at the time that were writing about the supernatural or the paranormal in any capacity, or the fairy kingdom, the other world, we're often writing about it from like a scholarly sort of literary point of view, or a very kind of like a skeptical point of view. And O'Donnell was a little bit different because he, as an Irishman, they had a banshee in his family, and he's on record talking about experiencing, seeing ghosts and things when he's just a little kid. And what's particularly cool about his writing is that you just, like a lot of the writing of that time, when interviewing people that lived in like these little villages and these little towns, it was very condescending. And his writing, while it's loaded with sort of Edwardian kind of vernacular in there, he really comes across as being more of a believer. And maybe that's because I'm a believer and I get it. So anyway, he wrote a whole book about banshees. He wrote a whole book about ghosts. And he wrote an entire book about werewolves. And it's one of my two kind of like primary go-tos. And it's a really long book, and there's just a lot in it. And it's, it's written it was published in 1912 in Ireland. So it's just, people wrote and spoke differently then. So I'm looking back through it, and I start noticing something over and over again, this kind of recurring theme, which I had not really picked up on before, which was that he actually did this. You spoke of ghouls earlier, and he has this whole chapter where he talks about ghouls, werewolves and ghouls, vampires and werewolves, and then, so ghouls, which he identifies as kind of a like life-sucking entity, and vampires who prey upon people and to and occupy. Basically, they're like an elemental that occupies a corpse. And then he starts talking about why werewolves are different. And now he's not saying this about all werewolves, and this is not the only place that I have seen this. But it kind of blew my mind when I really started thinking about it, because Dave, even you and I have talked about this. Werewolves are shapeshifters. Why do they turn at the moon? Why, why do we have sympathy for the werewolf, but the vampire would kind of feel like, okay, the vampire, that's like an infection. But then people think, well, if you get bitten by a werewolf, then don't you become a werewolf? In fact, there's a ton of folkloric evidence, meaning people giving testimony through tales that they are sharing about ways to become a werewolf. Probably more than any other supernatural creature, werewolves were more common. Okay, we're going to take witches off the table in this discussion, because witches are not supernatural beings. Like, they just aren't. They're powerful women, sometimes powerful men that know how to work with supernatural beings, but they in themselves are not supernatural beings. So we'll take witches off the table for the mo, and we'll move on and just say, like, so nobody really goes out saying, I want to be a vampire, unless you fall in love with a vampire and then you're like, I want to be a vampire. But that's kind of a small portion of the population. There's a lot of recipes and ways to become a werewolf, and it seems to be very linked to high magic. And I just want to read you. So I've known about lycanthropic streams for years. And I just love that term, a lycanthropic stream, where you drink this water and you shapeshift into a werewolf. And it's always very foul smelling water. So I think we can all kind of, look from our perch in 2023 and be like, yeah, you got some giardia in that water. Like that's some polluted water you're drinking, and you've probably given yourself some sort of like high fever and disease. But there's several other ways to become a werewolf, and these include gathering certain flowers. Sometimes just exposure alone to certain flowers will cause you to become a werewolf. But this is my favorite one, and I'm just going to read. This is right from Elliot O'Donnell's book, and don't worry, there's no copyright infringement because it's in public domain. So yet another method of acquiring the property of lycanthropy consists in making first a magic circle on the ground at 12 o'clock. Now, we all know that's 12 o'clock at night. On a night when the moon is full, there is no strict rule as to the magnitude of the circle, though one of about 7 feet in diameter would seem to be the size most commonly adopted. Then, in the center of the circle, a wood fire, heating thereon an iron vessel containing 1 pint of clear spring water, and this is the best part, and any 7 of the following ingredients: hemlock, ½ ounce to 1 ounce, aloe, perfectly harmless, opium, mandrake, solanum, poppy seed, asafoetida, and parsley. So that must just be for flavor. And there's actually countless recipes like that of formulas that are almost alchemy-like, where people are performing rituals to become werewolves. And this honestly kind of blew my mind a bit, because I think I always thought I thought of werewolves more along the lines of like supernatural creatures who maybe were cursed and were once human, and then they got banished and transformed. And that's not to say that that's not the case, but the idea of people going out there, people like me, right, going out in the middle of the night and just saying, like, I'm going to do this ritual to become a werewolf. And then families giving testimony that they saw, children and women. And one really funny story was about a local clergyman who transformed, And they said that he had a habit of breaking into like the abbeys and eating all the fat abbots up. Like, these are his words, not mine. And I just thought, wow, this is like a whole other way of looking at this shape-shifting magical creature. And you know, I'm drawing on his examples from Irish, Scottish, and then other parts of Europe. So he's got some Balkan folklore in there, and some Italian folklore, and some Germany and Austria and stuff like that. So we're not talking about like indigenous American lore or anything like that, but just this idea of really going to great efforts to become a werewolf. It's fascinating.
A lot of people believe out there in the cryptid world that werewolves are also what we're seeing with these dogmen type creatures. Do you think that there is any similarities between the two?
Yes, I do. I do. I think they're in, I mean, you know, they're in the camp canine cryptid. And I think that some, you know, for example, the places where, including Ireland, you know, there were wolves in Ireland once upon a time. So places where there are higher wolf populations, you will have more stories of werewolves. There's more, and it goes back further. So places that have more, you know, less wolves and more coyote, or another kind of, you know, similar dog or animal. Now the dog man seems is, I don't know, Dave, because I kind of think we, and you know what, this is the camp I'm in. I think that we have different words today and more dialogue today about supernatural creatures that were kind of swept under the rug for the better part of like the last 200 years. From people immigrating, mixing of cultures, other cultures being stamped down. And so now, as we start, you know, talking about these things again and acknowledging these things again, these supernatural creatures, these dogmen, we have new words for them. And people are kind of looked at as like, you know, they're making it up, or it's nonsense, much for the same reason that 200 years ago people stopped talking about it, right? Because they just got tired of being persecuted. Goes back more than 200 years, of course, depending on what part of the world you live in. But yeah, so dogmen, I think they fall in that same. I know you don't. I know we don't agree about this. This is one of the things I think that you consider them two different things.
I
So,
just don't see dogmen being human. I would
right.
expect to see a, maybe it's just my folklorish mind, but I would expect to see dogmen running around with a ripped T-shirt on, or a or a broken pair of Converse Chucks. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see that.
But I mean,
You know,
dogs are
but
descended from wolves, so they at minimum are related, right? I mean, at minimum. I guess the question is, how do we know if we're seeing them when they're in their shapeshifted form only? How do we know what they look like when they're not in that form? And I guess the idea is that they're always in that form. They are a creature like a Bigfoot that is always in that form, that cryptid form, not going back and forth between a human and a werewolf. But I would say that some of these things, people like, you know, transforming, trying to become werewolves, trying to gain that power, because those are ancient creatures, right? Like those are creatures that go back so far that some, you know, in modern times in 1915, people are trying to join the cult of the werewolf, but that's not the very first werewolf, right? Like that's not the first werewolf that ever came about. And they aren't necessarily shifting back and forth. I mean, we don't know. We just have all these accounts of people, plucking a flower and putting it in their lapel, and the next thing you know, they've got really hairy legs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Some, yeah. I
telling you,
mean,
I've been doing a lot of
hey,
reading. It's pretty interesting. And there's,
all all I'm saying is that the werewolves need a good waxing.
depends, it's a personal preference, I think.
Okay. Well, if you want to have a date werewolf, you might want to, wax the legs a little bit, maybe the back as well.
What about share wolf? What if you were a share wolf? I don't know.
Not going there. I am not going there. Not going there. But I guess what I'm looking at is I wonder if you could lock up werewolves into that category of eternals and immortals that have been walking around this planet for millennia.
And you don't think dogmen would fall in that category?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not saying no.
I mean, I've
but
never
I'm not
seen a
saying yes either.
dogman, so I can't really say how
To
I
me,
would.
the dogman seems a little bit more wild. And I'm not saying party wild, or Varla Ventura type wild.
Vegas
I'm
wild.
or Vegas wild or whatever. No, I see dogman more as a forested creature, like a Sasquatch. And I do believe that there might be something supernatural about it.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I also, and I realize the dog family, werewolves, part of the dog family, much like household pets and wolves and everything. I can understand that lineage. But for a werewolf, to me, I think lycanthropy is something that there are certain people on this planet that could be walking around, and on those full moon nights, they get the heck out of town because they got to go howl at the moon with Ozzy Osbourne.
Right, but some of the things that I have kind of come upon recently have got me thinking about that whole that whole concept upon which Lon Chaney's Werewolf was based, Teen Wolf was based. What we have is our modern idea of a werewolf versus the idea of going out on a full moon to perform a ritual to get in touch with your inner wolf, and then thereby transforming and being basically out of control. So I don't know that. I mean, it's just got me thinking that the purposefulness of becoming a werewolf is something that is probably more widespread than I previously realized. And that's not to say that the actual, I mean, yeah, I really don't know. I really don't know what to say, because I think that in my mind, a lot of those otherworldly cryptid creatures, all of the otherworldly cryptid creatures, they fall in the same realm that I think the fairy and the other folk fall into, because they are beings that don't fit in with, they're not human, they're not part of the zoological order that we know of, which is why they're why they're cryptids. And I think they just, they kind of defy the laws of dimension and reality and all of those things, and yet there's so many sightings, like around the world, of all kinds of cryptids and creatures. So the question, I think, is also, do they, what are they doing when we don't see them? Are they all, and I get asked that a lot, like, do they just go into this other dimension, or are we the ones, are they here all the time and we're the ones with just incredibly limited sight? Because we already know we have really limited sight as humans. Our what we see is nothing compared to like what a dragonfly can see, or what an octopus can
Oh,
detect.
you know what? On a full moon, if you're out in the forest on a full moon, or the day before or day after a full moon, it's amazing how bright the forest is. It really is. And then to think that our eyesight is so poor as humans, even if you have 20/20 vision, that the creatures in the forest, all the animals, are looking at those nights like 24-hour sunshine.
Yeah. Yeah. And then add to that, as far as the whole full moon werewolf thing, it's bright. So that's when we're most likely to see them. But that does not mean, and anyone, who's ever done a ritual knows that the best time to do a ritual, if you really want, if you really want it to be the most powerful, is on a full moon. And so the idea that that's when werewolves are most frequently seen, well, it kind of makes sense, especially because if you go back to times when we didn't have electric street lights, it's mostly dark out there until the moon gets fuller and fuller and fuller. And then when there's a full moon, we're most likely to see things. So maybe they're out there, sneaking about on a new moon as well in the dark of the night, but you just don't see them because, you got your candles burning and you're inside reading the Bible.
Or other good books.
Or other good books by Varla Ventura.
There's your next book. The Bible and Other Good Books. But okay, so I mean, this opens up the next half hour, as we only got about 2.5 minutes left, to a couple of real crazy topics, because I think werewolves open up the topics to both shapeshifters and to immortal beings.
Yeah.
And I will tell you right now, I don't know whether it's my wish from watching The Highlander as a kid, but I really want to believe that there are immortals walking on this planet. I know I'm not one, okay, but it just absolutely intrigues me, the fact that immortals could be here, or shape-shifting creatures could be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And how will we know? We won't know until we're on the other side, and then we'll be like, oh, we were so right about that. Or, well, looks like we were wrong about that. There aren't any immortals. It's just us. It was just stardust.
I know. I mean, what would you do if you were immortal there, Varla Ventura?
What would I do if I was immortal? I would just do what I'm doing, I think. Like, just do it harder. Just keep on going.
Over time though, could you imagine, being an immortal, an unsuccessful immortal over time, and like
unsuccessful immortal,
like 700 years later, you're still going to the soup kitchen for meals, and your socks have holes in them, and you're wearing the same shoes as you did in 1592.
It's like, I haven't been able to hold down a job for 652 years.
Yeah. Yeah. You might have a problem with
that. Immortal.
I'm still unsure. I'm still unsure whether or not it's my personal attitude or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep question, though, and that's one of the reasons I think we're so fascinated by, like, vampires, is that question of, if you were given the opportunity to become immortal, would you choose that? Would you willingly choose that? And, there's always that sad idea of the people that age on and they outlive everyone. That's an age-old question, really, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hear you.
I mean, the answer is clearly yes.
Of course. Varla, I'm going to get you to hold on right there. Hard to believe we're already 1 hour down and 1 hour to go with Varla Ventura, her website, varlaventura.net, as we look towards hour number 2, where we're going to get into immortality and shape-shifting, all because of the werewolves. Blame the werewolves tonight. We love it when Varla's here. Grab her books at any major bookstore or online, places like Amazon. We'll be right back. Blackbird, if you need somebody to chat, dude, many of us have been where you are right now. So if you need somebody to chat, there's a bunch of people here who would absolutely love to chat with you, my man. Okay? Lots of people here. You don't need to feel like that. And trust me, dude, I've been there many times. Many times. But we got your back here, man. We got your back. Put the stress out on us. That's what we're here for. That's what the chat room's here for, man. Varla, I'm going to put you back in the green room.
All right.
I'm going to disappear for a minute because I got to hit the little boys' room. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
All right. Be right back, people. See if my chair moves. All right, old Davey's back. Back again. Baby's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Bring in Varla here. Hi, Varla. I have you on mute. Hold on. There we go. All right. Hey, little Tommy Fessler. Thank you so much, buddy, for that super chat. Where'd you put it now? Right there. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate that. All right, I want to say a big thank you to Louis ×2, D. Cohen, Blake, Lara, Rob, Kira, Nightwatch, Margie, Mike, Ant-Man, Deb, Blue Cruise, Louis again, and Thomas for the amazing super chats. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show. And of course, don't forget, I'll be in San Francisco for UFOCon 2023, and you're going to want to go there. UFOCon2023.com. You can get your tickets, and you can join me, Science Bob, Misha Johnson, Melinda Leslie, John Ramirez, Sev Talk, and Ella LeBain, Camille James Harmon, Lorian Fenton, many others. Yeah, we're right there. And don't forget Vegas. Check the ticker below. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadrumanus. Quadrumanus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. Varla Ventura is back for our Cryptid World. We're going to get into shapeshifters and immortals next, and your questions as well if you're in one of our chat rooms or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Varla's website is varlaventura.net. She loves it when I say that, because it's the .net that really, really just solidifies everything. You can find her books at any major bookstore. Varla, get you to take your mic off mute and bring you right back in. How are you?
I'm good. I had to mute myself because, I'm just such a belcher. I can't really.
Look forward to hearing that in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's
ridiculous.
Yeah, here's Varla. How do we know Varla's around? Oh, there she is.
Sounds like Barney from The Simpsons. Okay.
You got that right. Immortals. This is one of my favorite topics. I don't think we spend enough time on it. And really, I don't think there's enough people out there who are actually researching this topic. But, whether it's from the movies like Highlander, or whether it's vampires or werewolves or whatever it may be, skinwalkers, there's always been these topics of people selling their souls to the devil or whatever else demonic out there for the sake of immortality. I'm curious, what have you studied on immortality? And do you think there are immortals walking on this planet right now?
Well, interestingly, I would say by and large, certainly in folklore, which is kind of my thing, immortality is looked upon as a negative. I think because it's frequently like whatever entity you run into, like let's say it's a banshee or the washerwoman. That was a great example. That the washerwoman once upon a time was just a regular person, and then, you know, drowned somebody in the creek and basically has their blood on her hands and is now doomed to be this like immortal specter. Not quite a ghost, not quite not quite a human, just kind of in that limbo. And so a lot of the backstories, so I'm a firm believer that what we see and then what the backstories are not always like the same thing, or not always as we think they are. So a lot of people listening right now can attest that they will have had an encounter at some point in their life, whether it's some kind of ghost or another kind of supernatural being, and they've never known quite what it is. And then one day they're listening to this fabulous radio show and they hear someone talking about it and they go, wait a minute, that's what I experienced. I have had that many times myself, and I've had many people approach me saying, well, do you think this fits in that category? Because this is what I experienced. So I think that we see a creature and then maybe like the backstory that we end up finding out later, it may or may not be actually accurate to that particular creature. But by and large, having said that, by and large, the immortality is viewed as a curse. It's basically like you are doomed to roam this like in between plane, or you are doomed to kind of glitch out in this room until, you know, someone frees your spirit or whatever, you know, whatever the Hollywood version of an exorcism is. But that's a little different than being something more along the lines of like, you know, would fit in the category of like the Nephilim, who are that, you know, it's this angelic race of creatures who are taller than the average human, larger than life, and immortal. And then of course you have the idea that vampires achieve immortality, and they do that by occupying the soul, the body. They basically, it's a, you know, you occupy a dead person's body, but you run around and you take, you know, the life, energy, and blood, if you want to go that route, from a living human. But you're not actually human. You're basically just like this walking corpse. So, you know, I mean, do you want to be a walking corpse? Is immortality all it's cracked up to be? And are there actually creatures and things that are immortal that would fall in that category that go back? Are aliens immortals, for example? Because they can come and go as they please, right? They know stuff, and they've known stuff for a lot longer than we have. So they've got the ancient wisdom. And then, of course, there's the whole camp of people that believe that off-planet and quote unquote alien encounters are exactly what the Egyptians were depicting back in the day. And, you know, that what others were calling gods were what we now might call a UFO. So, in other words, have they been around much longer than we can even imagine? Which is totally like you. I mean, that's your area. You know that world so well. But I mean, I don't know. Is there an actual race of creature that is just all, you know, just been here all along, and or is there more than one?
I don't know. I mean, do you think there are immortal humans?
I mean, no, actually, I'm sorry to say, me, the believer in mermaids, gonna rain on everyone's parade here and say, no, I don't actually think. I think humans, if there were immortal humans, we would not invest so much time and money to not age, to not, you know, to fight against mortality. Maybe there will eventually be immortal humans. But I think if there's anything immortal, it's not an actual, Homo sapiens sapiens.
Well, I mean, you do have people like Jeff Bezos right now, the owner of Amazon,
Yeah.
who is looking into and investing his own money, into the idea that he wants to get back to biblical terms, where you saw people living for 200, 300, 400 years rather than, 80, 84, or what's the average age? 80,
I can't take
82.
300 years of Jeff Bezos. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Oh, neither. Trust me, neither can I. Neither can I.
But right.
Because somewhere somebody's going to be playing that stupid song that they wrote for him. Born in 1964, Jeffrey Bezos. Oh, no, that song. Thanks, Dave, for putting Jeffrey Bezos in your head. That's going to be all in my head all night now. But no, but there are people investing it, and of course, it's the multi-billionaires who, I mean, let's face it. Why you've got the world as your oyster. You can buy anything you want. Why would you want to leave?
Yeah. Or just the idea of like kind of that people did live longer, and then with really the onset of like the industrial age, people didn't live as long, and with more rampant disease, people didn't live as long, and now people are living longer because we're coming up with cures. So are we going kind of back the other way? I just, in my opinion, it's a losing battle. And I think we're much better off like spending some time with the dark side and just embracing that, things aren't always going to be light and forever. Sometimes things are going to be just what they are, and part of being mortal and human is just part of messing up, part of learning from your mistakes. I mean, now going back to my early anthropology days, right, there's the idea of immortality being achieved through other means such as art, literature, architecture, structures, so that there is a form of immortality in that. If you really want to get like super existential about it, you got, whoever put that very little pointy brick on the top of the pyramids, right? Like that person, we may not know that person's name, but we know that somebody put that brick there. So we know that that was with human hands. Or, well, none of us personally know, Da Vinci, but we know his art really well. None of us knew Michelangelo, but we're all very familiar with the Mona Lisa, right? So it's kind of like there's a form of immortality in that, right? So I don't know. I don't know if that counts really as being human and immortal.
Okay, but you do believe there are creatures out there that are.
I do think there are, yes, like more in the supernatural realm. Yes, because I think there are things that just continue existing and will always exist and will just come back around until the next batch of people are willing to see them. And then they just keep coming back around. Absolutely. And I think that that's very, very probable with a lot of the kind of, monsters of the world. Here's an interesting thing, though. There are certain cryptids that fall in the category of being like kind of like a solo creature, right? Like there's just like one of them that we know of. We're just going to throw the Loch Ness monster out there because that's like the most famous one. And then there's creatures like Sasquatch, which we kind of commonly accept. It's like a lot of different ones, right? Like it's a race of beings, not just one thing, not just one sea serpent in the bottom of a lake or whatever. And I think that is that's another aspect of it. Are we talking about one single immortal elemental thing that will return? So it might be a specific monster that has been seen for generations in a particular cave in the Pacific Northwest, and that different eras of people actually have names for it that they call it different things, but it's there, right? It's always there, and it's always immortal. And then you have something like, do Sasquatch die? I don't know. Or do they have a lifespan like other animals do? Or are they actually kind of more supernatural and don't actually ever disappear? I don't know the answer to that.
Question. That is the ultimate question.
Yeah.
What about shapeshifters?
Well, there's a whole category of shapeshifters. You've got people who have the ability, humans who have the ability to shapeshift, and they use that through transformative magic, and they use that to gain knowledge from the other world. And then you have, shape-shifting supernatural beings. I would have previously said such as werewolves, but I really do think that there's a element of human interference in the ability to become a werewolf, or I shouldn't say human interference, but there's a lot of ways to become a werewolf other than just being a werewolf, being born a werewolf, as demonstrated by the heavily psychotropic recipe I read earlier, full of hemlock and opium. All of those things will make you shapeshift. So there's shapeshifting of the mind, right? And then actually that also becomes part of the ultimate question, because to shapeshift, do you actually have to do you actually leave your body, or do you leave the idea of your body? Like in the same way that you can astrally travel, or you can astrally project. Is it that, we see pictures, okay, a person's body's like floating up and going like into the astral plane? Or is it that you are abandoning the need or necessity for the heavy gravity laden form, and you're transcending that? And so that's another form of shape-shifting. Are we witnessing creatures that are actually transforming, or are we transforming along with them? And are we all in the same collective altered consciousness? And I'm not saying that's all, taking a bunch of drugs, but like there's a collective energy when people perform rituals that allows, magic and shape-shifting and things like that to happen. But there's also things like selkies, which are seals who shapeshift into women who can walk upon dry land and bury their coats and marry, and even mermaids who can basically, mate with humans. And there are many stories of, oh yes, that woman, she's either a witch or a mermaid, but there was something off about her. She wouldn't go to church. It's very common. It's common to this day. It was like, oh yeah, we think maybe she was of the sea a little bit because she didn't like to sit still in the church pew. So there's those kind of shapeshifters too that have a very rich history and are still around today.
Okay, but when I think of shapeshifter, there's a lot of First Nations people who believe Sasquatch is a shapeshifter, or Dogmen, or Wendigos, Skinwalkers, many traditional creatures that are said to haunt, a lot of indigenous people out there. Do we look at them as in the same route or the same way?
But to be a shapeshifter, you're shifting from one form to another. So skinwalkers, absolutely right, because essentially they're donning whatever form they want in order to, you know, basically terrorize or frighten or cause mayhem or trick. The Pooka is a shapeshifter. That's one of my favorite shapeshifters, and that's the the Irish fairy that appears in the form of a horse or sometimes a giant bunny, and basically can shapeshift from. Now that's actually usually an animal that shapeshifts into its supernatural form of the animal. So a lot of times I think we think of shapeshifters as like humans that can transform or witches that transform into other beings, but sometimes shapeshifters are animals. So there's that sweet little innocent bunny, and then it shapeshifts into this 6 foot tall rabbit that's going to go chasing you over hill and dale. So there are also animals that can be shapeshifters that go back to their animal form. It's not all human, I guess. And I think maybe that's a big distinction. A lot of people think of their honestly, some of that is just rooted in our misguided belief that that because we're human, doesn't everything want to be human? We anthropomorphize everything. We give cats names, and we do stupid commercials where the dogs are talking and playing poker and stuff, and we just assume that everything would want to be human. Wouldn't we want to be human? We're taught we're the most evolved species, right? We are taught that in school. The most evolved species is Homo sapiens sapiens. And so we assume that a shapeshifter is a human at its core that has somehow gotten this ability, which is probably true for on some level, but not always. Like, you can shapeshift and not ever be actually anything in any kind of solid form, least of all human. So
Okay,
I don't know.
but wouldn't that be saying that that's quite egotistical of us to think that everything or everyone wants to be human?
Yeah, that's super egotistical of us. That's what I'm saying. That's a problem. So we assume that things shapeshift, but just the very word shapeshift. I mean, right? Okay, shapeshift, going from one form to another. But I think common understanding of that is that you're shifting from a human form into something else, or into something else into human form to disguise us. But that is very egotistical, because we're basically like, well, naturally everything at its root is human, and that's why we name everything. We name every plant, and we name every after ourselves, right? Every mountain gets some kind of name after something, instead of it just being like the mountain.
Mountain.
We're going deep. We're going deep tonight, Dave. You're getting me thinking.
I get that. And I guess I will keep that speculation of belief just to myself, than on whether or not immortals and shapeshifters really are walking on this planet. I want to believe. I totally want to believe.
And I'm in camp believe. I just don't think that they're human.
Right.
But, we'll see. Give me 100 years and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
We got to leave a time capsule. We need to do a spaced out radio time capsule.
Yeah, I don't want to see that. I'm already gray enough. Varla Ventura, we have her until the top of the hour. Our cryptid world is what we call Varla's Adventures here on Spaced Out Radio, each and every month. We love her around here. VarlaVentura.net is her website. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Oh, you are hilarious. Look at Hot Molly here. I just got home, had to stop at Taco Bell, and thought of you, Dave.
Oh, do you like Taco Bell?
I will tell you right now, the second I get into San Francisco, I'm not even going to be out of the airport yet, and I will be calling Uber Eats to meet me at the airport, at the hotel with Taco Bell. The
Do
worst
you
thing
not
that
have
ever
Taco Bell
happened
in
to me.
Canada?
The closest one is 2.5 hours away, or 2 hours away.
Oh.
But the good
I'm
news
so
is,
jealous that you're going to be in San Francisco. That's my hometown. I can't believe all those years you're going to that conference and we didn't know each other when I lived there.
I know. No, I think you were already gone by the time I started there.
Oh,
Started going there.
I was gone by the time we met, but I didn't know if you had been going there prior to that.
I'm looking at my son's schedule to see when I get to go to Kamloops next. And it doesn't look like it. Son of a gun. Son of a gun.
I don't know what those words mean. What are we talking about? Hockey?
I was looking, yeah, hockey. I was looking at my son's schedule. See when he played down in Kamloops, and that's the closest Taco Bell.
Oh, you were looking for proximity to Taco Bell. I thought you were like, oh, I'm going to miss
yeah.
the game this weekend.
Yeah, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about missing Taco Bell. Right.
So what is your son in? Is it mites? Do you have mites or
no?
What's the order there? Tell me the order.
Up here they call it U11.
Okay.
So a couple years ago, this is how it used to rank. Beginners was called novice, then Atom, then Pee-wee, then Bantam, then midget, then juvenile, then junior B, junior A, major, junior, professional hockey. Well, the I'm offended crowd decided to go after minor hockey in Canada and Hockey Canada because of the word midget.
Right. We don't have midget here anymore, but we have
yeah. So
it's similar, but we have mite. We go mite, pee-wee, squirt. No, mite, squirt, pee-wee, bantam. And then I just can't think beyond that because I already know they're going to be, I know there's junior gold and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But then it also depends on if you play for your high school, you could play JV or varsity, et cetera, et cetera.
So Hockey Canada, because of the word midget, and nobody thought of it as little people, okay? Nobody thought about it. It was just the step below junior hockey. And
so it was after Bantam?
Yeah, it's above Bantam, below junior.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so the hockey wokes threw a tantrum. And minor hockey Canada decided to go the soccer route that nobody understands of U7, U9, U11, U13, U15.
But what about girl? Because we do that here, but it's only for girls. So like basically one of the things I love about hockey is you can play with the boys as long as you can make the team, you can play with the boys. There's not it says boys hockey, but there's plenty of, if girls want to play on the team. And in fact, that happens all the time around here because everybody's just insanely good at it. But the girls is that's how it's ranked. It's like U8. They don't have mites. They have U8, U10, U12, U13, whatever. I don't have a girl, so I don't know. But it's basically by age, like many, many other sports. But the boys, they don't do that with. So I didn't understand. It's like, why don't you just have the girls be called the same thing, mites and squirts and I don't get it. I
don't get it.
It's the same age. It's the same age, right?
I will tell you, there is a girl. She is on the team above my sons. And out of every child that I have watched play hockey over the years, she is probably one of the most beautiful skaters I have ever seen. She is fast. She skates with her knees. I mean, this girl, if she continues, she will be on the national team.
Yeah,
She and she and
I
she's only
love seeing that. I
oh
love and I love going to the girls' high school games. I
well,
love it
here
because
we go.
yeah.
Here we go.
I have a
I'm sorry.
Taco Bell story for you though.
Halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you all with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live at KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight, we say hello to Varla Ventura. VarlaVentura.net is her website. You can get all of her books at any major bookstore or online. And we're going to take a few audience questions. How you doing, Varla?
I'm doing great.
You got a Taco Bell story. You're gonna kick me right where it counts.
Well, now there's the most. Have you ever been to the most beautiful Taco Bell in all of the world?
No.
Well, it's about 20 minutes south of San Francisco. And it's in Pacifica, and it's right on the beach, and you have a view of the Pacific Ocean, and it's right there. I'm amazed that they have been able to hold that real estate as long as they have. But there is a Taco Bell that is right on the beach in Pacifica, and it's got views of the ocean and everything. It's got $1 million views, but it's a Taco Bell. Now, to get there from San Francisco, if you had a friend with a car, that would be a lot easier. You could probably Uber down there, and I don't know. It's past the airport, so you just keep going south all along Highway 1, and you get to Pacifica, and you go to the most beautiful Taco Bell in all the world. So
sounds like heaven.
I know. There's seagulls crying and waves crashing and beautiful cold Pacific there before you as you eat Taco Bell.
Oh, see, that's heaven. If I were to pick heaven
immortal. I would eat Taco Bell every day.
Man, that just
look it up.
Look
it up. Look up it's famous because it's so beautiful. I mean, it's an amazing location.
Sounds beautiful. Obi Flett in the chat room says, I've been to that one. It's gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, it tastes just like Taco Bell, but it's a very special one.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, let's get to some audience questions here. Let's start off with the Doug Shelby.
Oh, Doug.
Is lycanthropy an illness or a curse? And do silver bullets really kill them?
So lycanthropy is there is an actual medical diagnosis that is called medical lycanthropy, and it manifests in a person being convinced that they're a werewolf. So that's the technical term, is that you're so convinced that you're a werewolf that you exhibit werewolf-like behavior that becomes enhanced at the full moon, and you are diagnosed with lycanthropy. There's also other illnesses that can be kind of thrown in that category. Like people might have a hormonal imbalance that causes excessive growth. It's the whole bearded lady idea that was all kind of rooted in the idea of lycanthropy being something that was kind of outside of your control. So, so there is a medical, diagnosis of lycanthropy. But it also can be considered a curse. I mean, some people have, the story is that they're kind of cursed with this because they have done something wrong. For example, there's a story from like northern Wisconsin. Basically the story is that there were two hunters who were given the gift. Indigenous people. There were two hunters, and they were given the gift to hunt and transform into wolves in order to be effective hunters to prevent everybody from starving. But the one, the caveat was you can never turn on each other. And, they did. One of them turned on the other one, and it caused them both to be banished. And that is believed to be the beginning of the North American werewolf, as that idea that they were given this special ability and then they abused it, and so they were cursed. So there is that idea of being a werewolf a curse. I think vampires actually are the traditionally that curse. It's more of a curse of immortality, whereas werewolves, as we've learned tonight, many people are it's very sought after. It's a very sought after ability. I mean, actually, if you think about it, if you could transform yourself into this like fierce, ferocious hunter that basically like nothing in the forest can really can ward you off, can fight you off because you're a wolf, but you also have like this brain that's thinking the whole time, I'm going to be able to do this and that, and then I'm going to kill this, and then I'm going to transform back, and I'm going to drag this carcass back to the group, and we're all going to have at it. Like, that's such a, like, you would want that. And actually, if you were in desperate, starving times, you would really want that. So, I'm going to put one in camp, not a curse, for lycanthropy.
Okay. Let's get to the next question here. And this one comes from Double J, or Double Day, pardon me. I used to live next door to a psychic vampire. How dangerous are they?
Psychic vampires are the worst. They're the worst. They are. A psychic vampire is actually probably the most common form of vampire. So I think we have a very romanticized idea that a vampire, floats into your room, bites your neck, draws your blood, and then thereby infects you, and then you become a vampire. But in reality, there are a lot of vampires walking among us. And yes, there are people who identify as vampires, dress as vampires, and use vampire magic to get the things that they want from life. But then there's the psychic vampires, and psychic vampires are as old as time itself. And they really are the people that suck all the life out of the room. They are the people that you're talking to them, and then you don't know why, but you have a headache after you've only been speaking for a short period of time. And there are many ways to protect yourself from a psychic vampire. Should you think that you are in the presence of one, you could work with one. Real energy vampires, responsible energy vampires, work with people who are willing donors. Irresponsible, and thereby like the psychic vampire, really are the ones that they take your energy without you granting it. And actually the best book out there, I think, in terms of dealing, if you think you might be under some kind of psychic attack from a psychic vampire or otherwise, is Dion Fortune's Psychic Self-Defense. And she teaches you a lot of ways to kind of, ward off and maintain control of your own mind when under psychic assault.
Gotcha. All right.
Little light reading. Little midnight
Careful.
reading.
Good. Yeah. And watch out for them psychic vampires.
Yeah.
So you don't get that midnight assault.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, there's got to be some
AKA
salt you could sprinkle on their tails or something for that.
AKA narcissists. Oh, you just, pour it right in their eyeballs. That's the best.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Nancy would like to know, what if there are immortals, but they can never know that while alive?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if you've ever explored like Vedic astrology at all, but there is a whole practice in Vedic astrology about figuring out what cycle, like, of I think, what evolution you are in the many lives that you will live out on Earth. And I think it's 8 is like the last one. And then after that, you become, the stardust. You become a part of it. And so there's no one to say how long that is. Is it 8 individual lifetimes where someone lives to be 100, or is it 8,000 years? But you wouldn't know, really. I mean, you can do. That's why we have all these tools like astrology and psychics, and just trying past life regression, trying to figure out, how long am I going to be here for? Was I here before? These kind of questions that I think, they come up for all of us. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, what if you, I mean, that's right there, a great writing prompt. What if you were immortal, but you wouldn't know? Well, I mean, you would never know. So eventually you would find out, though, right? Because everybody around you would die, and you'd start figuring it out. You'd start figuring out, like, oh, I remember 1912, and it's been 100 years. So wait, now it's been 200 years, and so I guess eventually you'd figure it out.
You would hope so. Otherwise, you end up one of those
You'd be
broke ass
blissfully
immortals.
ignorant. Yeah,
Going through
going to the soup line with holes in your socks.
You got that right. And your shoes from 1542.
Yeah. Back when they really knew how to make a loafer.
You got that right. Hey, that penny in the loafer went a long way at one point.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Jordan. She wants to know, Varla, how long have you been studying this type of work in this field?
I've been pretty, in particular, like the world of, like, cryptids and magical creatures and fairy mythology and all of that since I was like a kid. So I probably like more seriously since I was a teenager. And so that's 30 years. Aging myself there, but it's true. I'm proud of it. Yeah.
You got 3 decades under your belt?
Yeah, I've got more than 3 decades under my belt, but I got 3 decades of, comprehensive folkloric reading. Yeah, I'm basically still the same person I was when I was 13.
Sure you are. Sure you are.
Hey, I'm immortal. Figured it out.
That's right. That's right. Blake would like to know, what would the Occam's razor say about the UFO phenomena in your mind? Or what would finding to dead birds look dead for a long time in your house at the foot of your room steps mean? Or what does Dakum mean?
There's so many questions there. Can you help me? Okay, let's start with what would finding dead birds in your house at the foot of your steps? I would think, well, I mean, you might have a cat that's leaving you gifts. Could be a shape-shifting cat. I don't know what Dakum means. And I'm not really... can you take that first one? What would Occam's razor say about the UFO phenomenon?
Oh, I thought you would like that.
Yeah, I'm not really... I don't know. I mean, it's not really my area of expertise at all, the UFO You know, you know what I think? I think UFOs are fairies. So I'm not a great, I'm kind of a one note gal here.
Oh, you're killing me. You're killing me here.
Hey,
Here I'm supposed
also,
to rely on you. All right. How would I explain that? I'm not a big Occam's razor kind of guy. You know? Well, we can't have dead air.
okay. Well, what
I'm,
does
tr- I'm
Deku mean? No, I don't know what
I
Deku
look I
means.
looked up
Did you look that one up?
definition of Deku.
Deku.
Let's see. Deku meaning numerology is Deku meaning is hold on. Numerology. Dekun name numerology is 4, and here you can learn how to pronounce Dekun. Okay, we figured that out. I'm pretty sure I can figure that out. What's the meaning?
I'm not really sure. I think I can kind of just go back to that first part of the question, which basically, I mean, like Occam's razor, like the simplest. This is how you solve crimes, right? Like the most logical or simplest explanation is usually the correct one, right? So you apply that to the UFO phenomenon. I mean, that I can't apply that to the UFO phenomenon because there are so many different schools of thought and so much more evidence now that has come out where it's, it's pretty clear that a lot more knowledge has been, people have been being called crazy and conspiracy theorist and then it's like, oh, we're just going to release these documents that very quietly prove that everything you've been saying for the last 50 years is totally true. So I don't really think like the simplest explanation, we've been being lied to, that might be the simplest explanation,
Maybe.
but hey, who's lying? I mean, you and I are telling the best truth we know.
What is truth? What is truth?
True.
But my favorite question to ask people online these days, because I can be a little bit of a shyster sometimes. I really like to bug people who are like, "Show me proof," and I ask them, I said, "Well, what is proof?"
Yeah. What is
Right?
proof?
If I show you a photograph, you're not going to believe it's real. If I show you a video, you're gonna tell me it's CGI or quick editing. If I play audio for you, you're gonna say you might have just voice tracked that and played it down. So realistically, what is proof?
Right. Proof is experience. People have to experience it themselves or experience something similar and then be able to accept that someone else's account may be slightly different, but in the same category. And I think of that all the time with, with the paranormal, which I think it's much more widely accepted to be able to talk about seeing, a ghost than it is to, say, oh, well, I saw a Sasquatch or I spotted a mermaid in the water. But people do, and people do have those experiences. So, yeah, I what is proof? I mean, sometimes you can tell. I mean, people make stuff up all the time too. So you really don't have. I mean, we're literally talking about the unexplained, the paranormal. We're talking about unseen things, and anyone who tells you that they have proof, we're talking about something that is unprovable, and that is the whole point, right? The whole point is that you sometimes you just have to accept it. You don't always have to have the hard evidence in front of you. We're so obsessed with hard evidence all the time. We're just obsessed with it. We're obsessed with getting the ghost caught on camera. But you can't capture on camera the way you feel when you walk into a room and you're, every hair in the back of your neck stands up. You can't you get somebody saying, "Oh, the hairs on the back of my neck are standing up," but you can't actually capture or quantify that. And we are obsessed with proving everything instead of just like listening and experiencing. One of my favorite bits of advice I ever got, and I probably should do it again, because it's a really good bit of advice, but it's for anyone who's ever trying to develop their own psychic abilities. And it was given to me by a wonderful psychic in which that I knew, who had moved to San Francisco from New Orleans. And this was, keep in mind, this was back in the day before we all had cell phones and stuff. But he said that if you really want to hone your psychic abilities, you spend 3 days. He wasn't saying go on some 6-month retreat. Spend 3 days. Don't read the newspaper. Don't watch television. Don't answer your phone. 3 days. 3 days. Don't get on your computer. 3 days. And pay attention to the world around you and see what you notice. And you will start developing your sixth sense in that way.
Love it. Love it. Two more questions for you. We got 3.5 minutes left. Nikki.
I love this.
Nikki is wondering, how can you tell if somebody is an energy vampire and not just a miserable person?
I think it's how you feel. So if you're just with a miserable person, I mean, it could be one and the same, but if you're just with a miserable person, right? Like we all have our down days, and sometimes we just want to be able to complain, and that's fine. It's a recurrence of that, and it's a feeling that you don't have the energy to do the basic things that you want to do. So you go home and you're exhausted, and all you can do is go to sleep, or you can just like stumble into the shower and stumble to bed. You literally don't have the energy to do the things that you need to do to take care of yourself because your energy has all been drained. But that is also kind of being around a miserable person all the time. So, yeah.
Gotcha. Final question. Amy wants to know, please straighten this out for the chat, Varla. Are mummies zombies? Is there a crossover?
I love that this needs to be straightened out. Okay. Yes. Okay, so are mummies zombies? No, zombies are specifically the dead who have been, through the art of necromancy, brought to life in order to do their necromancer's bidding. That is specifically what a zombie is. Mummies are something totally different. Mummification is a process in which you preserve prior to formaldehyde, it was how you embalmed bodies. And so a mummy and a zombie are totally different things. So absolutely different things. Now, perhaps a mummy could become a zombie if you were able to resurrect a mummy, as again, Lon Chaney would have us all believe, or Boris Karloff would have us all believe. But really, they're totally different things, and they're from completely different cultures. I mean, maybe not completely different cultures. There's mummies from around the world. The process of embalming and sort of wrapping the dead is in a shroud is common throughout the world. But zombie and zombie resurrection has its roots in Haitian voodoo.
Varla, where can people find your books?
Wherever zombies are sold. wherever books are sold. All my books are available and in your local independent bookstore, bookshop.org, amazon.com, all the places where books live, the library, you can get my books there. I'm still in print. I haven't gone out of print yet. So that's
beautiful.
Exciting.
Beautiful. Well, you know what? We look forward to you meeting all our fans in Las Vegas at the second annual fan party at the Golden Nugget, May 19th through 21st. And before that, we will see you here next month on Spaced Out Radio. Much love to you, my friend.
Love you, Dave. Thanks for a great night.
Absolutely. Always. Varla Ventura, everybody. VarlaVentura.net and Our Cryptid World here on Spaced Out Radio. She's one of our favorite regulars here. Coming up next, we're going to head to the swamp. Then Robin McCrae joins us as we turn up the woo on the Cryptid Report. She fills in for Super Duke. Spaced Out Radio is hour number 3. Coming up next. Fantastique.
That was great. Happy
That was fun.
2023. I know
Good
it's
start.
the end of the month, but actually it's February over here.
Yeah, you're in the future.
I am.
You're in the future. I'm
It's
still
looking
in the
good.
past.
It's looking good. It's all right. You
You
live
got
the
there.
past. You live your past.
I will. I'll do it up good. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. I'll talk to you
Much
soon.
love.
Okay.
Much love to you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night. Varla Ventura, everybody. I will be right back. And no leaving. No leaving. Got lots of show left. All right. Here's me. Here's my Spaced Out Radio cup that you can get on our website, spacedoutradio.com. It's a good cup. Want to remind all of you that I will be in San Francisco, California in March 17th through 19th for UFOCon 2023. It's put on by Lori and Fenton. You can get your tickets at UFOCon2023.com. See some incredible speakers like Arena Scott, Ella LeBain, Sev Talk, Mark Glenn Moore, Barbara Eberhardt, Victoria Whitney, Melinda Leslie, John Ramirez. Science Bob will be there. Misha Johnson. I will be there as well. And some other special guests will be there as well. So you're definitely going to want to check it on out. Go to UFOCon2023.com. Come hang out with Dave. Come hang out with Dave. And if you can't make it there, join us in Las Vegas for our second annual SOR fan party, May 19th through 21st at the Golden Nugget. We're doing a live show. We're going to have a Skywatch. We have a VIP party going on if you get VIP tickets with us. All of your special guests are going to be there that have been on this show. It's amazing. It's a lot of fun. We want to see you all there. So if you can make it, we'd love to have you. And go to info@spacedoutradio.com. Book your tickets today. Here we go, everyone.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for joining us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadranamus is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Well, it is that time once again. We're going to head to the swamp. Yeah, our resident swamp dweller takes us on another spooky journey.
Hi, Spaced Out Radio listeners. This is Swamp Dweller. It's time for your nightly dose of spookiness on the show. If you have an interesting encounter or a spooky story that you would like to share, be sure to submit them in at swampdweller.net. You can also find our YouTube channel at youtube.com/swampdwellerreads. Now, let's chill out, relax, and together, let's enter the swamp. Hello, Swamp Dweller. I'm a big fan, and I've always wanted to submit a story since I found your channel, but I never had anything long-winded or particularly horrifying enough to catch your eye. And to be honest, I'd hope I never would. But unfortunately, here we are, my friend. Won't use real names, but most of my closest friends call me Skunk. My girlfriend and I are a same-sex couple living in a village about 30,000 people deep, and this place is cursed on another level. Let me preface this by saying we are both witches who believe in the work of the supernatural, so being this shaken up is entirely new for me. We've had friendships and attempts at polyamorous relationships, and seemingly out of nowhere, the moment the other party has crossed the village line, and walking out of the town limit feels like seeing the sun for the first time in decades. Some of our supernaturally inclined friends say it's the mines from the locally found Herkimer diamonds, a type of clear quartz named after the village they're found in. For those who may not know, quartz is especially good at concentrating and expanding energy. On to the story. This started long before we were even physically together, when we were just long distance. But it's taken a turn these past few days. A curse 6 years in the making. It all started one day when I forgot to refill my insomnia medication. We had just healed a rough patch in our relationship and spent days being our absolute best with each other. We were cleaning the house as usual, with me on trash duty and my girlfriend scrubbing away at the dishes. I found the bag I had put our medication in. Hers was there and mine wasn't. It hadn't even been 45 minutes since we left the pharmacy, and it was still light out, so we retraced our steps from the front of the store all the way home along the exact route. Nobody in this town cares about litter, so I doubt someone would pick up stuff off the ground, even if they did see it. But let's assume that's what happened, that somebody just picked it up or turned it into the police. This is where things take a turn either way. Now, I know our house is haunted. Ever since we moved here from public housing, there are pages upon pages I could write about some minor hauntings we've gone through. I'm sure there are 2 gentle spirits upstairs, a ghost dog in our kitchen, and a threatening dark energy in the basement. I know, cliche. Neither of us go down there because of it, and this thing is setting its sights on me. I can just feel it. My girlfriend heard a scream outside the night before last while watching the snowfall for the first time this season. She rushed inside, shocked that I didn't hear it. I was about to go onto the back porch to see if there was an animal or some sort of trespasser on the property, as there had been before, but I couldn't even physically bring myself to open the door because it was so cold. So instead, I looked through the small window above the kitchen sink. Here's where many people would say they saw a shadow, face, eyes, or something, but I saw absolutely nothing. What I felt, on the other hand, was absolutely unreal. I have almost died twice in my lifetime, but the dread and fear I felt at this moment were undoubtedly worse than either of those events combined. I swear in my life that this is not an exaggeration. I've often felt invisible eyes on me from the windows or the shadows of my home, but this was worse than any of those other times. Of course, the entire Tri-County area used to be indigenous lands, and it was finally winter, and there were plenty of woods around, and the snowstorm was raging hard, so energy could definitely be all over the place, and that big W word I'm afraid to type out, aka Wendigo, could definitely be lurking around. But we quickly moved on from this, didn't want to think about it too much or conjure anything. Now, last night, however, was even creepier for me. It was now the 3rd night without my medication, and sleep was becoming more and more elusive. As I managed to sneak in maybe an hour or 2 of sleep, I awoke to my girlfriend snoring 3 times louder than usual, and the heat was at least 15 degrees warmer. I was annoyed, so I shook her awake and asked her if she turned up the heat while I was sleeping, to which she replied she barely was. Wish me luck. Thanks for taking the time to share my story, Swamp Dweller, and I look forward to your next upload.
And we love the Swamp Dweller around here. Thank you so much, Swampy, for another weird story. Swamp Dweller is here kicking off the show each 3rd hour, Monday through Friday night. And we love it when he's here. If you love his stories and more, you want to hear more, you just go to his YouTube channel, youtube.com/Swamp Dweller Reads, and you can get it right there. Just hit subscribe. Super Duke, the Cryptid Report with Super Duke. Filling in for the vacationing Super Duke on the Cryptid Report, we have Robin McCrae coming on in. And well, Robin, it's good to have you back here in 2023. How have you been?
I'm good. It's so good to see you. I miss talking to you.
I know. I've just been so busy and everything.
I know. It's been crazy here as well. So I get it.
How have you been? Like, how's the cryptids outside? How's your big feet around your house?
They're actually doing really good. They were kind of upset last week because one of the neighbors is plowing down a lot of trees over there. So they were, huffing and puffing, but they didn't misbehave. They were fine for me. I didn't have any problems. There was an older one that kept coming up to the fence at night, and he sounded awful, but he said he was fine. It was just because he was old. So I was like, okay. Told me to quit worrying about him because I kept asking if he needed any healing done to him, and I think it annoyed him because I kept bucking him. But they're doing good. They're, loud and proud like they always are. Hooting and hollering.
Now, for people who may not have ever listened to you, I mean, there is some serious woo with you because you are a psychic intuitive, and you have the ability to communicate with
Right.
Sasquatch. Now,
And the
that might
dog
be
men
out
and
of.
any cryptid.
Yeah. How did you find out you had that gift?
I actually didn't know that I didn't because it just was, that happened even before I could talk. I don't know a time that I didn't. So as I grew up, I just assumed everybody else could talk to all these things. My first abduction by the ETs was I was 4, and I talked to them, and then they would continually mind speak with me afterwards. And then, the Bigfoot were there, and the dogmen and the cat people and anything else that came through. I just didn't really know that that was something that not everybody did.
And here you are, years
Yeah.
later, communicating with Sasquatch, hanging on out, talking about everything from laundry days to what's
Yeah.
baking in the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
Well,
full of it. I've got mini pigs, and our garage is attached to the house. And my mini pigs they have no idea what precipitation is. They have a heater and an air conditioner out there, and their beds and their toys and, litter box and all that out there. And I was going out there to clean out their box where they go to the bathroom. And I'm in the garage, and all I can hear is something knocking on the garage door. So I'm thinking, okay, the UPS guy is here. I come out, there's nobody here. I wait and wait. Nobody's around. Nobody was at the neighbors. So I go back inside, and as soon as I get in there working again, and they're knocking again. I was like, forget it.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It gets crazy. Like, we'll have a couple days where it'll die down a little bit, but honestly, even on the days that it's quiet, it's like, because mind speak, they don't have to be standing here to mind speak. I still talk to the ones in Russia from when I did the conference there. And so, either my husband Pat or I will hear from somebody on every day. Sometimes it's just a couple of them that pop in, and other days it's like a bombardment. He got hold of me from work one day, and he woke me up, and he's like, "You got to get up." And I said, "It's 8 o'clock in the morning. Nobody should be awake at 8 o'clock in the morning." I mean, I realize most of the world is, but I don't fall asleep till 4 or 5. I don't want to be awake at 8 o'clock. And he's like, "Well, this one's hurt, and this one's hurt, and this one's hurt, and they need healing, and they can't get you to wake up. So you need to wake up." I'm like, "Okay, you got it."
I don't even know how to put that. I really don't know how to put that.
Yeah,
It
I don't
just,
get days off.
it is for a lot of areas in North America, that time of the year where things start to thaw out. We're almost there.
Mhm.
The southern states are starting to warm up, and some of the Midwest states are starting to warm up as well. As things start to thaw out, I'm curious your thoughts on, getting out there now. Is this the time to do it?
Well, I think there's a misunderstanding that because the weather gets cold, they're not out. I have had I was born and raised in Michigan. I would go out and walk in the woods, and there would be snow on the ground, and they would be cloaked, and they would be walking right near me, and I'd watch footprints being made while I was walking. And then I would have physical sightings of them in the days as well. When it gets really, really bad, then obviously they're going to go to a cave, they'll go underground, abandoned houses, what have you. Some of them will go into a portal and go somewhere else where it's better. But yeah, I mean, it's a good time. I mean, as spring comes on, gets closer, you're beginning of fall and spring, they're most active. And right now, they're active anyway. We are seeing a huge surge in the amount of activity and the amount of sightings that they're allowing people to see. And I say allow because if they don't want you to see them, you're not going to. There's a few accidents here and there, but not a lot. And, there's more ET activity right now, both good and bad. And there's more, cat people are showing up all over the place. The dogmen are showing up all over the place. I don't have problems with the dogmen around me. I never have. I've gone places where they've had aggressive dogmen and I've talked with them. But any place I've ever lived, they don't bother me. I mean, I've got a werewolf across the driveway. And, for the longest time, I didn't even realize that's what he was. He would just mind speak. And I got to look at him and I was like, wait a minute, this is a little different. And my next door neighbor has seen the dogmen. She saw 2 of them walking across the field right past the end of her driveway. So, thanks, Steve. He's a doll. So, I mean, it's just not been a problem. I do a lot of energy work around my property and on my property and stuff. And the good ones are really attracted to that. And I think that helps a lot. So it stays pretty good. I mean, I think the worst we ever had, and it still is a problem now and then, are the kids. The Bigfoot kids, they can get a little rowdy, and they don't do it to be obnoxious. They just get playing. They would get up on the roof and they'd keep Pat and I awake all night long pounding up there. I mean, I literally went out in the middle of the night one night and I'm out there using the mom voice, chewing them out. They finally quit. But they want in the garage to see the animals. I used to have kennels for my dogs out there, and the dogs didn't like it, so they're in the house, of course. But they would get in the garage and I would leave and the door would be down. I'd come back and somebody had kicked in the bottom of my door every single time. And you would see muddy footprints in there, and you would see where they had gotten in there. And then all the kennels are open and the animals are running around like a freak show. But they aren't doing it to try to be bad per se, but they don't realize how strong they are, and they're typical kids. They want, they may be 5 foot tall and be a child and be able to bench press a car, but they're still a kid.
Oh, very true. Very true. Blue
I
Cruz
think
has a question for you.
Sure.
And he is asking, have you met other psychics with similar abilities as yours?
I have. I think that everybody, it's kind of individualized, the abilities that you get. But yeah, I mean, I've worked with some that have abilities. I'm certainly not the only one. Trust me. I mean, I'm not any big deal. There's millions of people out there that can do what I do, I think. But yeah, I have met a few here and there. And what's nice is they may be able to do something I can't, or I may have an ability that they don't. And so it's great to really work together. One of my dearest friends is telepathic, as well as my husband. And it's like between the three of us, we work for the Bigfoots. I mean, we in the cryptids, and we do various things for them. And we have a choice if we want to or not, obviously. But it works out great because there might be something I can do that they can't, or something I can't that they can. So you end up coming together as a collective.
Okay, so the fact that you have this ability, and I have worked with you on my own area here in BC. Excuse me. I've told you this. I don't tell our audience. I was a little skeptical of it until all of a sudden Robin started saying things that were happening. And then she said, be prepared. The big guy, I remember you saying this, the big guy is watching you. And you even said, I think you're going to see him very soon.
Yeah.
And this was about a week before. And lo and behold, first weekend in October, there he is. The big 10-footer.
Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Do you remember it was not this past Christmas, the year before, Duke and you put together a show like a round table total up the end of the year. And do you remember you made a comment about somebody moved something on by your computer, the wires of your computer. And when we went to break, I said, Dave, this foot is like in my head going on about the window. And I had no idea what all was in your office. I had no clue. And he kept describing this window, and I described the window to you, and you turned white, like the color of milk. I thought you were going to pass out on me. And you turned around and you moved the flag, and there's a window back there.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was crazy because he wouldn't stop. And I was like, you're going to make me look like an idiot on air. He was just driving me nuts. And lo and behold, there's a window.
I love it.
He wants to know too when you're coming back. Where have you been? Because when was the last time you were up there? Because he says he wants to know, the one that you saw wants to know when you're coming back.
You can tell him when the snow melts and we can get vehicles in there. That's when we will come back.
Okay,
so I'm hoping April.
Okay, yeah. Because he acts like he hasn't seen you in a while. What did you give him for food? Because he wants whatever. You must have left food somewhere, or he took food somewhere from you.
Well, unless he walked into my vehicle while we were in the trees.
It's possible.
Maybe
I don't know. He said to tell you to bring the
maybe
food back.
maybe the sunflower seeds. 'Cause
Maybe
we
he
ate a lot
didn't
of
say.
sunflower seeds.
He just said to tell you to bring the food back. He can see why you like it.
Oh, okay. One night when we were there, we were just sitting around, and there was about 6 of us there. We were sitting around in lawn chairs, and we were we had Smokies.
That's probably what he's talking about, because he said it was really good. He hadn't had it before, and he wants you to bring some back.
Well, the smell was fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he said bring back the food.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a lot more in that area this year. A lot more. We're probably going to be bringing a couple of RV trailers up there.
Yeah.
And just making sure that that we are there through like we have to investigate more there. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to be there at 2:30 in the morning when all of a sudden something starts shaking or rattling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I want to be there for that. But I do have a story I want to share with you. As we got about 2.5 minutes, and we'll get back to this guy because we're not done with him yet. Okay. And we do have some audience questions starting to build up here for you. But I actually had some, I work 2 jobs. My daytime clients asked me to come down to their lodge that they have just outside of Kelowna, British Columbia, where when they opened May 1st last year, and they'll open May 1st again this year, around June, July, they had 6 of their clients have Sasquatch encounters on their property. So they came back specifically to talk to me because they knew I was in it. And I remember they're like, "Hey, are you still into finding monsters and Bigfoot?" I'm like, "Hell yeah." And they're like, "Would you come to our lodge?" And I said, "Why?" They told us stories that people were finding footprints. They were hearing roars and screams that were really weird. One couple even stayed in the lodge one night, and as they were going to bed, the wife looks out the window, and there is this giant head with beady red eyes staring back at her.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the thing about the red eyes, their eyes, it's kind of like a mood ring as far as how you read it. And it can mean that they're mad, but it can also mean that they're scared. Unfortunately, you've got to go by how you read their energy as to which one it is. But so just because it's red doesn't necessarily mean it's bad.
Right. Well, these people are absolutely praying that we can find some Sasquatch on their property because they literally want to sell, use it as a tourist attraction. That, hey, we're getting this activity around here. And the funny part about it was they were cleaning out behind one of the sheds one day, getting everything organized in the fall before the winter. And they were moving a bunch of wood, and lying on the ground behind all the wood was a 6-foot carving of a Sasquatch.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
They're really artistic. They used to do tree drawings for me. And then they would take rocks and they would do scrapes. I don't know what they used to do it, and they would draw on the rocks. So it's amazing what they can do.
It is. It's absolutely amazing. And you know what, Robin, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we have Robin McRae till the top of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio, filling in for Super Duke from World Bigfoot Radio on the Cryptid Report tonight. More questions about Sasquatch. We'll get to some audience questions as well. And telepathically, what is my Sasquatch guy saying to Robin? We'll be right back on Spaced Out Radio for the final half hour. Stay tuned. We're clear.
You're going to end up being as bad as Duke, where they're going to give you a shopping list every time you go.
Psychic Nikki from Seattle is asking, who is over your shoulder?
What they're seeing, there's a shadow over my shoulder. That's because I'm actually on my porch because it's kind of raining, and I didn't want to do this in the house because it wakes all the dogs up. But I also have off my left side, I have got one that's cloaked that's been slowly coming up on the side. And then on the right side, I've got two that are standing over by the garage. Is it possible they're coming back there? Yeah. So far, their energy isn't strong enough to really feel that they're back there. But that's why it looks like a shadow. I have on my right side, I also have a cat tree because we have 1,000 feral cats around here. And this particular cat tree has a little place they can go in to sleep. So I put it on the porch for them.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. Did you get a close-up earlier of my beautiful Sasquatch head carving?
It's phenomenal. That is absolutely tremendous. He did an amazing job.
Oh, the Michael Leger did an incredible job.
It's amazing and so lifelike. I love it.
Oh, it's heavy too.
Mm-hmm. It's just incredible.
The detail that he went in for that.
Oh, it's above and beyond. It is one of the better ones that I've seen. It really is.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I just feel that it is actually looking at me. Like,
Yeah.
there's actually something in this that's looking at me. Powerful.
Yeah, it
very,
is.
Very powerful.
It really is. I mean, you could sit there and look at it and almost get lost into looking at it.
I know.
He just did a tremendous job. Just incredible.
So talented. So
he
talented.
Really is. It's just wonderful.
Yeah, that is just wow. I am still stunned by it.
Yeah, it's just tremendous. It really is. I was watching it when we were talking earlier too.
Oh.
Yeah, they're outside tonight. They've been moving around in the bushes and stuff. They do that when I come out here. Every time I talk to you, they get out here and I can hear them moving in the bushes. And every now and then I'll see an arm or a leg or something, or I'll see where a head's at. And normally by now, I have a possum out here. And I never touch him, but he comes up and he'll walk around on the porch when I'm out here doing this show. He hasn't showed up either. It's probably because they're out there.
Michael Leger, who made the Sasquatch and the gnome right beside, says, I made him loving and wise. Mike, I'll tell you right now, Mike, you can totally feel the energy off of it.
Oh, and it does.
Totally
it feels wonderful. It feels like nothing but love. It's just fantastic. You did an extraordinary job.
Yeah.
It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. It's
what I like about it is it doesn't feel like all these generic ones that you see. That one has a personality. You can tell that there was love put in it. You can tell it's an individual. It's not just like a replica of 1,000 of them. It's just wonderful.
Michael says he's watching over you, Dave. Yeah, I can feel Michael, yep. You know what? You have no idea how much sense that makes.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I love it.
The energy is amazing.
You can feel it. It just feels like love out of it. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah. I feel more of the wiseness. Like
he reminds me of an older.
Like I'm almost. It almost feels like I'm supposed to take him out with me.
I wouldn't do that. I've had a couple people that have taken like the stuffed Sasquatch out and taken the statues, and they don't understand it. And they tend to view them as another one from another clan coming in. And that one looks really lifelike. So I would be careful.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I will, but it's very cool.
Yeah. It's like he's guarding you.
Cool. Yeah.
It reminds me of an elder, and he's just kind of keeping an eye on you to protect you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to say a big thank you to our super chatters tonight. Louis ×2, D. Cohen, Blake, Lara, Rob, Kira, Nightwatch, Margie, Mike, Ant-Man, Deb, Blue Cruise, Thomas, Maddie, Molly, Amy, Steve, and Susie. Thank you so much for the love tonight, guys. Very much appreciate it. Very much so. And let's see you all in San Francisco at UFOCon 2023.com. You could get the tickets there, and we'll see you all in Vegas as well. Here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you so much for the love and your listening ears. We very much appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It's the Cryptid Report happening till the top of the hour. Filling in for a vacationing Super Duke for World Bigfoot Radio is psychic and researcher Robin McRae. Robin, welcome back.
Thank you.
I got to ask you about my guy. My
Okay.
Sasquatch guy. Okay. Because you were asking, he had a message, when are you coming back? When are you coming back? How long is it going to take us before we get to see him again?
I don't think you're going to wait as long as you did the last time. I think what's going to be the issue is when you come back with more people than what you had before, because then you have that adjustment again, and that might slow it down a little bit. But I feel like he's going to be close by, even if you're not getting a visual sighting. You might hear movement, you might hear something, but it will take him a while because he's going to have to get, resituated. It is instilled in their brain from the time they are young to not trust anything. Anything could be a trap. So when you bring another person in, even though they can read that person and know if they're going to be safe or not. But at the same time, it does take them a little bit of time. So I don't feel like you're going to have to wait, as long as you did for the last sighting, but you'll get some activity, I would think, within a couple, 2 or 3 times after you're out there. It'll just take them a while to get used to the extra people. Hi, Ferret.
Now, I do have to ask you, I have 2 other areas that not near there, but in a different zone, so northeast of me, that people have had encounters, including one logging company.
Mm-hmm.
The logging company one, there's something eerie about that one. Doesn't feel safe.
It's not. And the reason it's not ever going to be safe, you're talking about when logging companies come in, okay, they may do that for the better of our people. However, that's not for the better of the forest people. They're automatically hated. They will mess with their equipment. They will destroy things. They will throw rocks. They will throw a hissy fit. You seldom see where they're going to get physical with someone, but throw things at them, mess with their equipment. That seems to be a typical MO for them because they try to persuade them not to be there. And
Right.
That's why you end up getting that weird feeling because they're not happy.
Right.
They're absolutely not happy about it.
So if we go in there and investigate and we tell them, look, we apologize for what the loggers did, but we're here to make peace with you and make sure you're
Mm-hmm.
okay. Would that calm things down?
It honestly depends on the individuals that are there and how upset they are. You want to make sure that you're not there at the same day that the loggers are there because you don't want them to associate you with those loggers because they're not
Right.
going to believe you. They just simply are not going to believe you. So you can go in there like on a time when the loggers aren't around and, do like peace talks, which is kind of what I'm going to be doing in North Carolina this weekend, and kind of do peace talks and, say, listen, we're sorry. This isn't, what we wanted to have happen. but maybe just give them some space and let them do what they're going to do. And again, it comes down to the individual. They are just as individualized as our people are, and whether or not there's any acceptance there.
Well, you know what? It's going to be interesting because most of our time will be spent out at the original area.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think whatever was negative out there last year that scared us away, do you think that will be back?
No, I think that, do I believe in my heart that it comes and goes? Yes. I don't necessarily, it's not looking for you. Okay, I know what it is. It's not looking for you. It's just ETs. That's all it is. And they aren't there because of you. There's something in the soil there. There's something in the land there. Usually you find heavily populated ET areas. They're either looking for a certain person, like, that's why we get them above the house here all the time and showing up in the house. But in your case, they're not looking for you. They're looking for what's in the soil. They tend to do a lot of mining in the soil. They look for the ley lines. They look for the soil. And them going in that area, they were looking for something, and it wasn't you. It just happened to be, the luck that came down on you that they were there when you were there.
Right. Yeah, that was creepy that night.
Yeah,
absolutely creepy.
Yeah, some of them you can get someone that are pretty nice and they're easy to deal with. And we had one that showed up. My daughter and I were home alone, and it was Beltane. This was several years ago. And there was one, and he just looked like this little blob thing, kind of like a miniature Pillsbury Doughboy without the hat. And he was just as sweet as can be. My daughter was frightened at first, but then she was all right because he didn't try to do anything. But then you get the other ones, and they're not so nice. And unless you know how to read the energy of what's coming at you, it's hard to really tell.
Oh, very, very much so. Let's get to some audience questions here. And let's start off with Jordan. If you could turn off the gift sometime, would you or not? And why?
This is something that I haven't told a lot of people. I actually did at one point in my life. I'm 58 right now, and I was probably in my early 30s at the time. And I get premonitions of things that have either already happened or they're going to happen. And I actually got a premonition of a little boy that was murdered by his dad. And I felt all the fear that the little boy did. I felt when he died, his dad choked him to death. This was back before computers. Okay. And so, yeah, everybody got the newspaper every day. So I watched this. That absolutely horrified me because there was nothing I could do. I didn't know where it was. I saw the area. I knew what the area looked like, but I didn't know the location, and to call the police, who's going to listen to you? And so the next day in the paper, it was on the front page that they couldn't find this little boy. And it was the same little boy that I saw. And I was like, I don't even know who am I supposed to call to say, what this field looked like. The dad did it, all that. 2 days later, they found him, and it was exactly how it was in my vision. At that point, I simply shut everything down. I was like, I don't know why I have this gift, but if I'm going to have to watch a child die, I can't. I can't, And so I quit talking to the Bigfoots. I quit talking to all the cryptids and, the good ETs and everything. And I just shut it down. And they would continue to talk to me, and I was just basically unresponsive, or if I responded, it was very little. And I didn't pay attention to the premonitions, which, FYI, for anybody that gets them, you have to follow them out, because if you don't, it's a disaster. And about 2 years after this happened, a friend of mine's ex-husband had stolen her children, and the police couldn't find them. And she went up to me and she said, listen, I get it. I get why you don't want to do this, but I want my kids back, and nobody can find my kids. She said, I need you to do this. And then if you want to go quiet again, go quiet, but I got to have my kids back. And I did find her children. They were in Germany, and she had been to Germany at one point in their marriage, and she called there, and the lady said, yeah, the kids had been there, but they left. And so she was just frantic. And I had a vision, and it said the name of the street. It showed the trailer that they were in, the trailer number and everything. And I told it to her, and she said, oh my God, that's his mom's place. She moved there about 2 years ago. And we called the police, and she got her kids back. And at that point, it was like, okay, so apparently something good comes out of it. So, yeah, so I did. It doesn't work. it doesn't work. It's very difficult. And even when I did shut it down, they kept talking to me anyway and coaxing me and saying, we need to talk to you and we need you to do this and we need you to do that. And, I would talk to them, but not nearly like it. Now I do it like, you would talk to your best friend on the phone every single day. This goes on all day. It goes on all night. And I just tried to shut the whole thing down. You can never completely 100% shut it down, but I don't advise it. For people that have this gift or this ability, you have your abilities and your gifts for a reason, and you have to be true to yourself and follow through with the reason that you have it. It's not by chance that you have it.
Right on. Let's go to another question. This one comes from Joe. Do the beings that use portals know where all the portals are? Do they share portals?
Pretty much, yeah, they do. Well, they will share them. The thing is, there's more than one kind of portal. There's one that's anchored, which means it's not going anywhere. It's just there all the time. We have one that's anchored that's across from my driveway. There's also the portable ones, which sounds really crazy, but it's been actually documented, even over in Russia, where they can simply wave a hand and open the ground up and go into a portal. I had one on part of my road. The road is cut through a rock wall, and one ran down the side of the rock wall, ran across the road in front of my car, and it opened up in this other half of the rock wall, and he went in it, and then it closed right up. So yeah, you have some that think of an expressway. Okay, when you're on the expressway, thousands of people are driving in and out of it. Do they have some that are privately theirs? Yeah. Like if a lot of them, they'll get hold of me and want me to open a rift for them. And when I open a rift, they go in it and then I close it right behind them. So nothing else is going on. It doesn't stay open. Portals are basically the same way. You open and close your portals with energy. I've done it multiple times for them. Some stay open and some, certain ones have to open. And then again, like I said, they have their own way of opening them up randomly wherever they're at.
Very cool. Very cool. Let's go to another question here. This one from Blake. Have they ever mimicked human voices, Robin?
Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah. It can get really bad. They can imitate any voice. And years ago, before my current husband, I was married, and he had went out in the woods and he was going to go deer hunting, and we had 10 acres. When he would go out and hunt, I would let all the forest people know, don't go back there. You guys and the kids, I'll stay in the front woods. He's going to stay in the back. So he went back there and was waiting on the deer to come in. And finally he came in the house and he was so angry with me. And I said, what is wrong with you? And he said, that was really rotten of you to go out there and start talking to me out in the woods and hollering to me in the woods and scaring the deer off. And I said, I never left the house. And the kids told him the same thing. And he said, I've known you for 15 years. I know exactly what your voice sounds like. And then we started noticing that they would imitate other people's voices that we knew. So we put a rule in effect at my home with my children that if somebody calls you into the woods, if somebody calls you anywhere, unless you physically see me or whoever's, that voice sounds like, you do not go. You're not going to get grounded. You're not going to get in trouble. But unless you have a visual of that person, you do not go. Because they can imitate absolutely anything. I don't care what it is, they can imitate it. And they can match the voices to perfection. The ETs can't. I will tell you that. ETs cannot match the voices. They suck at it. But the Bigfoot, absolutely.
Still strange to me how they're able to do that. Still strange to me. Yeah. And final question from Joe. Dave, you once went to Tim Hortons to get donuts for the aliens. Have you brought Bigfoot donuts? No, I'm trying to be more healthier. Trying to be a little bit more healthier. So I'm not getting donuts for the Bigfoot.
They love blueberry bagels. Blueberry bagels are a big thing. Before I went to the conference in Russia, I didn't know any researchers. I didn't know anybody in this field. I was just living my life with them like I had all my life. And I used to give them blueberry bagels, and they were obsessed with them. I could not get enough blueberry bagels. I would buy out the store every time they got them in. And when Igor met me, Igor Borstev, and wanted me to go to the conference, he wanted me to talk about it at the conference. So I came back from the conference. I had no idea how much press was going to be there. And everybody called me the blueberry bagel girl. And I still get that today because they love it because of the blueberries in it.
Right on. See, I'm just fearful of bringing food into my spot. Okay, because there are so many other animals
Oh,
in
yeah.
that area. So it's very difficult for me to all of a sudden say, hey, this is
Yeah.
something smart. This is something smart that we should be doing.
Well, and you're
Right?
doing really good because you're doing a gift exchange with them anyway. So you're bringing them something, you know, the feathers, the marbles, the beads. They're obsessed with that little blue car that you had out there. You know, those kinds of things work really good. Just you don't want to put a lot down at one time because they do get overstimulated very easily. When they are doing their own thing and they're working as a clan, they have the patience of Job and they don't get overstimulated. But when they have to blend in with our people, they do get overstimulated extremely easy. So if you leave out gifts for them and you're leaving out like 5, 6, 7 gifts, it overwhelms them because now they're waiting to see which one of those is going to be the trap. Where if you leave 1 or 2, it takes them a little bit to accept it, but then they're okay. You know, so when you first start working with them, you have to really limit the amount when you have, you know, like the toys or the beads or the white rocks or whatever, because they're always looking at everything as a trap. Everything is a concern. Even the simplest of things they think is a trap.
What's with the skittish attitude like that?
It's inbred in them. Our people have done nothing but try to kill them. They have been hunted. It's not from other cryptids. The fear comes from us. The truth is they could take us out in a heartbeat if they wanted to. There's nothing we could do to stop them. And they don't choose to. But our people tend to want to kill what they don't understand. And if they don't understand them, they want to hunt them. And now the big thing is, oh, we got to get a body on the slab and we're going to prove it. You know, I hate to, burst anybody's bubble, but we've already had the bodies. We've already done the DNA analysis. The Sasquatch Genome Project was legit. The Bigfoot told me what the results were before that project ever hit, and it matched. You know, I mean, you don't have to have a body to prove this. It's already been proven. And there was a gentleman he's deceased now, but he did his own testing and it came up the same as Melba's. So, I mean, there's been other people as well. In fact, Duke sent me an article about a gentleman that found a tooth that was a year old and it came out with human DNA as well. We don't have to kill them. I understand if something is trying to kill you in defense. If one of our people tried to kill you, you would protect yourself and your family any way you had to. That's sensible. That makes sense. But we tend to kill what we don't understand. And because not everybody understands them, they're going to go kill them. And then everybody's going to have the answers. Nobody's going to have the answers. And when you do kill these things, it's not over the way you think it is. They work as a collective. They're through their higher consciousness. They're all attuned to each other. You will be hunted, you will be harassed, and they will play with your mind for the rest of your life. And they will do that through your family because in their culture, it's an eye for an eye. You just took one of their people, which is a major thing for them because they work as a collective and through a consciousness. So now you've taken that, so they're going to do the same to you. It's just not that easy. And you bring one down and there's already 100 that know about it. You know, and for what? Because the government's going to take the body anyway. And what you think you're going to do to prove that they exist, it will never happen. Because the government will come in, you'll get shut up, and they will take the body every time. If the Bigfoots don't get it back, they actually do a funeral, a burial, 4 days of silence, the whole shebang. And if they can get that body before the government will, they will.
Incredible. We got 2 minutes to go with you here. And, I might be sounding a little selfish here, but when does that big guy want me back?
He keeps saying 3 weeks. I don't understand how his time thing, their time is different than ours. It actually is a much longer period, but he keeps going in 3 and 3 and 3. And I said, in 3 weeks, he said in 3. But he hasn't saying if it's days, weeks, or months.
3 months would be perfect.
Well, maybe
'Cause
it's months. He's not saying, he's just saying, tell him in 3, be there in 3.
I
He
won't
said,
be
I
there in
will be
3
there
months.
watching. I will be there watching.
Yeah, we got a bunch of. Is he going to be upset that we got a bunch of new flashlights now?
That will set them off for a while. So what you need to do is when you go in there, before you even start to use them, they're going to be able to tell you have them because they're going to scan you. They're going to know what you have. But it
Right.
pulls weight with them if you go to them and say, hey, this is what I have on my person, whether it's a gun, whether it's a knife, whether it's a flashlight. I have this, but it's for this reason. It's not to be used on you and your people. It is to be used for me for this reason. And that actually pulls more weight with them than if you don't tell them, because they're going to find out anyway. And it's one of these things where if they're reading it on you and you're staying silent about it, then they have reason to doubt your intentions. If they're reading it on you and you come forth with the information, then they're like, oh, okay, they're not hiding anything. You know, you don't want to show it up in their faces. Keep it on the ground. You know, face the ground so you're not falling or tripping, or keep it low at the base of the trees. You don't, putting it in their face is just a red flag for them. Not only does it hurt their eyes, just like it does us, but it scares them.
Robin, where can people find your research?
Do you know what? Find it on World Bigfoot Radio, I guess. I swore I'd never do this, but I'm writing a book. It will get done hopefully before the Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, which is in April on the 21st and 22nd. In fact, Duke will be there. William Lunsford will be there. Stephen Hill will be there. Keith Crabtree will be there. And so we're really excited about that. Christy's going to come and help us out, Christy Sci-Fi. If you have questions for me or anything like that, or you need help, you can always get me at my email, which is RLYNNE and then a period, and then FORESTPEOPLE@gmail.com. But I am, people have been on me for like 8 or 9 years now to do this book. So we'll see.
Wow, we love you, Robin, and we'll get to
I
talk
love
to
you
you
too.
very, very soon. Thank you so much for tonight. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thaw rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
we're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Cool. We're done. 1 second, Robin. You are more than welcome to hang out if you want, if you're wide awake.
Yeah, I am. I'm just kind of sitting here enjoying it. It's nice out here tonight. It's quiet, other than the rumblings in the bushes. I think they took off with my cat, though, earlier, because he never leaves the house. He's a house cat. And they've taken him twice now, and they take him into this portal that's off the side of the house back there. And it's real low to the ground. And I've literally watched him go into it and completely disappear. And the one time he was gone 5 days, and I came out here to do your show, and he's been in the house all day. I saw him in the show, or out in the living room about 3 hours ago. I walked out here on the porch and he came running around the side of the house where the portal's at and came up and jumped on my lap. And he never goes outside.
Nice. Nice.
Oh,
Very nice. I like that.
yeah.
I like.
They do a lot of crazy stuff around here.
Well, they like their kitty time.
Yeah, you know what? They've loved him since they brought him to me. I mean, that's how I got him. They told me where he was at. They just said, go there because somebody needs you. And I didn't know what they were talking about. So I went there. It was up the road. And there he was. And he was like so malnutrition. I mean, every vertebrae, every bone in his body stuck out. And they kept saying, he's there, he's there. And I looked over on the side of the road and he was only about 4 months old and he was laying there. So I got him and I brought him home and they've taken off with him. I don't know how many times. I think my possum's back. I don't know what that is, but it looks like a possum. And yeah, so they like him. They take off with him a lot.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. But yeah, you're a big guy. He likes you.
Well, how did he like seeing my son?
He said your son has a pure heart.
You know what was funny is my buddy Mark, who was the one who heard him and spotted him. It took Mark about 3 weeks to finally admit. I remember he called me up and he was like, dude, we saw a Sasquatch. Like, yeah, we did.
Yeah, he
Like,
said your son was very curious. And then when it came time to see him, he was a little afraid, but he was so curious he didn't care.
is he going to be bothered if we try and move closer next time?
I don't think so. I think the main thing is that you can verbally speak to them and then you can talk to them in your mind, because even if you can't get the mind speak, they can get it from you.
Yeah.
And just talk to them, and go a little bit each time. Don't feel like just because you're there, you're going to keep walking and walking and walking up to him, walk up closer than you were and then just stay there. So he has that space. And you can move forward a little bit more each time, but let him, have that space so you're not in his. But you can definitely get closer.
I'm going to try that this year. I just, what scares me is because we, in that area, we have a lot of openness, but we have a lot of trees. Excuse me.
Yeah. And he wasn't the only one there that night.
Pardon me?
He wasn't the only one there that night.
Oh, I know.
There was at least 3 more that were close to him, and there were some others not too far.
Well, we heard him yelling and the one answering way in the background.
Yeah. I know when Sadie brought her baby to the house for me to see her, she let me get like within, I want to say 30 to 40 feet from her. And I just stopped. I didn't go any closer. I walked up that way and she just looked at me and she went back to playing with the baby. And I just stopped. And I thought, this is good for the first time. And I also knew that it was a test. It was clearly a test because they don't let you near their kids. And to see what I would do and whether or not I would try to push it. And I thought there's probably 20 of them all around me, hiding in the trees and stuff, so that if I made a wrong move, that was it for me. And she was very kind about it. She let me watch the baby play for about 10, 15 minutes. And then she picked up the baby and looked at me and held the baby to her chest and walked off. And I followed her like an idiot. I followed her for about another 25 feet or more. And she said, no, that's as far as you can go. And I said, okay. And she just disappeared. She cloaked. Her and the baby cloaked and they were gone.
I want to get close to this guy. I do.
Yeah. And I think, he really likes you. So you got that in your favor. He's going to have to get used to the RVs or the campers, and he's going to have fun. He's going to have to get used to other people there, and that might take him some time, but I think he'll do okay with them. He seems to be pretty decent.
We only go with the same people.
That's good.
So
That helps.
The
The thing
people
with them is
who,
consistency.
yeah, like we park in the exact same spot. We
Mhm.
haven't brought trailers up there yet, but we park in the exact same spot. Excuse me. Our fire area is in the exact same spot
Yeah.
as always.
And that's the way to do it. They want to know and what to expect at all times. You know, they don't want you to know, but they want to know, you know, what to expect all the time. And it tends to work really, you know, as long as you can be predictable with them, it tends to work better.
Yeah.
They don't like
Yeah.
surprises at all. It really unsettles them. It's just so inbred of them to be fearful of us.
I want to ask you, how did he leave? Did he vanish? Did he crawl out? Did he walk back? Because
He
I know
said
if he would have
he
went left or
cloaked.
right, we would have seen him.
No, he cloaked. He said then he walked back to a tree, went up the tree, jumped, and then went from one tree to the other. And then he said he jumped down on an area that kind of raised up a little bit, and he went down that way. But he cloaked. That's why you never saw him.
Hold on. Slow down. He went up a tree.
He cloaked first.
Right.
And then he said he stepped backwards up by a tree. He went up that tree and then moved over from one tree to the next tree and came down and then walked back and then down.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, so he would have went into the meadow.
Yeah. What are you making noises for over here, kittens?
Yeah, he would have went into the meadow then. Okay, that makes sense.
He seems really nice. The rest of the clan isn't quite sure what to think yet. He's kind of like the one that's really edging, you know, forming a friendship.
Is he, compared to the rest of his clan, is he the big guy or is he?
He's really
one of the
quite
big
large. Yeah, he's not the leader of the clan, but he is older. He's a full adult. He's
Oh,
big.
yeah.
He's good size.
I am so happy that my buddy Mark got to see him.
Yeah.
I am just.
He said he's between 11 and 12 feet.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Is what he's saying.
And like I said, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Yeah. I think next year, the really cool part about it is driving up there, vehicles get really dusty.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we, there's a good chance that if we do camp up there, that we may get a handprint or something along those lines.
Yep. Definitely leave the vehicles dusty. When we went to Nebraska for the conference last year, Christy Sci-Fi was there and she had rented a car. And she told me, she said, if you need the car, you're welcome to use it. I said, okay. So I said to her, I need to run up to Walmart, which was right up the road. I said, you care if I take the car? And she's like, no, go ahead. No problem. So I go out to the car and I look over and there's handprints on both sides. So I went in and I said, Christy, are you aware you got handprints all over your car? She's like, no way. So she came out. She was so excited. So then Duke came out and he pulled the fingerprints off with tape. So we've got them on display in the museum.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. What kind of tape did he use?
All we had was Scotch tape. And so that's when he pulled them off. Get with him. He'll tell you how he did it. I mean, he just took it and, put it over the top of it and pulled it up. Put a couple of pieces side by side attached so it was wide enough. You could, even take like clear packaging tape, I think.
I have my my Bigfoot stuff right beside me here. I'm actually building right now. I asked for Christmas for little things like this, like
Yeah.
a poncho, first aid kit.
And you know what works really good for footprints?
Fire
If you're going to get
paste.
good, oh, cool. If you're going to get pictures of them, either a can of hairspray, because you can spray the cast or the print, and so it'll make it dark where the foot's at opposed to the color of the sand, so it pops. Or you
Yep.
can take baby powder or cornstarch and put it down and do it. And then if you go to make a cast, always take some grass or small twigs or something and put it in there as well, because it helps hold the plaster in place, and it
Yes.
makes it thicker.
Night vision.
Oh, awesome. Now there's a trick I found out. Did I tell you about the night vision? Night vision works pretty good if you have anybody with the flare that does the heat signature.
Yep.
When I was in Michigan in July, I had a friend that wanted me to go out in the woods for him. So I went out, and had my night vision glasses there. And there was one like 10 foot from me. He was sitting behind a tree. He was huge, but he was sitting down. And I was watching him, like I was watching his chest breathe in and out, and I was watching his eyelashes blink, I mean, I was really close to him, and he was just like trying not to move. And a girl that was there came up with the heat can't sensor, the flare, and she went up to it and she said, it's not registering. I said, I know exactly what I'm looking at. Like, I'm watching his eyes blink. I'm watching them take his breath out, and watching his chest move. And I've watched him move his arm a little bit. Like, I know what I'm looking at. I've seen this 100 times. And she says, there's nothing registering on it. And then she turned around, because I said, there's one coming up behind you. And she put it over there, and it showed it right away. So I asked them, I said, do you want to tell me why I couldn't get your heat signature? And they have what they call a shield. Okay. They already radiate energy, and they can push that energy even stronger and make like a shield that goes around them. And like when I do healing on them, if that shield is up, I can get through it, but it's hard. It's a lot more work. So a lot of times they'll say, drop the shield if you want me to start working. Oh, I like that. If you're going to, you want me to work on you, and they'll drop the shield. So when I was in Michigan and we couldn't get the heat signature on him, and I said, why couldn't we do that? And he said, I just put the shield up. He said, you can't get my heat signature through it. And that happened 2 or 3 times when we were there.
Wow.
Saw one standing right there, put the flare on it, wouldn't even register heat signature. There was one next to it, put it on that one, and it showed it right away. You know what? I never thought about that.
I don't know where my flare is right now. It's not in this box. Oh, I know where it is.
Yeah, it's good to have a little kit. So all you have to do is grab it and go out the door. Get a little measuring tape. Take your measuring tape, because you want to not only measure the footprints, but the stride length.
Yeah, I got to go buy all that stuff yet, but I'm building a complete Sasquatch kit this year.
That's good.
Like
the nicest measuring tape to get are not the one like you would get at the hardware store. Go to whether it's Walmart or wherever where you would get the measuring tape for fabric, because it flaps so easy. You can roll it in a tight little ball. It doesn't take up as much space, and it's easier to get an accurate on it rather than the metal ones.
I'll have to remind myself of that.
Well, sweetie, I'm going to go to bed, but it's been so good to see you.
Go, girl.
And thank you so much for having me. Yeah, just let me know when. I'm always around for you.
We love you.
I love you too, babe. Talk to you later.
Take care, my sweetie. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Robin McRae, everyone. How awesome is she? I will be right back. I'm going to take a quick bathroom break. Bear with me here. I'll be right back. Rock and roll. How are we, people? We have a good time? One second here, guys. I'm going to upload these files. I might go a little blurry for a little bit. That's okay. All right. There's one. There's two. And we're off and running. We having a good time? Dave, is it true American Taco Bell is better than Canadian Taco Bell? I find them both extremely edible. I think the American is better, to be honest. The beef is better up here, but overall the experience better down there. God, I love that. Oh, that's amazing. Just amazing. Just amazing. Tomorrow night on the show, we got Brian Staveley coming on, talk about the Mandela effect. Yeah, it's been a while since we had Brian on. Hi, Stu Gerson. When did you sneak in? Doug Shelby. The Doug Shelby. Friday night is our Keith Andrews at the ET Connection. I know that the Doug Shelby loves his R. Keith. How can you blame him? How can you not? So for some reason, a couple of days ago, I don't know if any of you else had this happen, but right now, like all of this, when I go to Google, Google is my homepage, and it for some reason it's got the Yahoo stamp on it. And I don't understand that because I don't like Yahoo. I don't understand how Yahoo all of a sudden became my front page. Anybody else had that happen? Gary Nolan was supposed to be on last week, but he got busy with school, so he couldn't really do anything about that. So I'm not too worried about it. We are going to reschedule him very soon. Okay, that's done. That one's done. Let's send this one over. Hard to believe February 1st tomorrow. Mr. Underhill, why don't you come join us in the YouTube chat? That way everybody can see your comments. You've been around long enough. I don't understand this whole Twitch thing. I don't get it. Yeah, that's true. It is tomorrow, but not in Alaska or Hawaii yet. I don't understand the Twitch thing. Sorry, I'm just catching up on something here. Okay. Do 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 do. Go. That one's done. That one's off to the races. Our Keith Andrews, I believe, is coming to Vegas for our Vegas party. Yeah, we got to figure out. Geraldine did come on in January, buddy. She did. I promise you, she did. Yeah, we got to figure out a way to get into Rumble and BitChute. Okay, so StreamYard works with Rumble. Doesn't say BitChute yet. Do I have a Rumble account? If I have one. Do I? Sign in? Oh, maybe I do. I'll have to check this out. We'll have to figure that out. Tonight is not the night to figure that out. Too tired. All right, Nicole, I'll get you one. Hold on. Let's see here. Oh, yes. Our good friends, the giraffe at the El Doño Reserve. There we go. I like the giraffes. What's wrong with the giraffes, Nicole? Give the giraffes some love. Love the giraffes. Oh, a zebra showed up. Look at that. And he looks sober. Look at that big guy in the background, just guarding everybody. Well, move the camera over. Thank you. Wow, they must have heard us. Those are so awesome. And on that note, I'm going to say goodnight to all of you because old Davey's got to get to bed here. Got to work in the morning. And I want to say a big thank you tonight to our super chatters, Louie ×2, D. Cohen, Blake, Lara, Rob, Kira, Night Watcher, Margie, Mike, Ant-Man, Deb, Blue Cruz, Thomas, Maddie, Molly, Amy, Steve, and Susie. Thank you so much. Don't forget, I will be at UFOCon 2023. Go to their website, ufocon2023.com, March 17th through 19th. I will be emceeing the event. Love to see you all there. And I'd love to see you all in Las Vegas, May 19th to 21st. It'll be my 50th birthday party celebrated down there. 50. You got to be there for that. I want a cake. I want a big cake. One of those angel food. One of those, what do they call that? Black Forest cakes. That's what I want. Anywho, love to see you all down there for our live show or live event. Get the VIP tickets because it's going to be really cool. And we'll see you tomorrow night talking Mandela Effect with Brian Stavely, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.